morning. It is Friday. We're here. It is July the 4th. You're watching CTV Morning Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Joseph Bernacki is live on the street this morning with the Winnipeg Police Service. They're going to talk about the Downtown Community Safety Program, what it is, how it works, and what you could do to support them. But first, your headlines. A deadly Canada Day crash is highlighting a troubling trend. 3 people are dead, including musician Brendan Berg, as Manitoba's road fatalities continue to rise. A town on edge again. Lynn Lake faces another evacuation as fires threaten highways, hydro lines, and essential services. And when nature calls, scientists answer why a UK zoo is turning animal number 2s into a number 1 tool for conservation. All right, bring it in, Terry, now. What a storm waking up this morning. Lightning. Was there hail? It sounded like it.
Did you hear hail? I didn't notice anything in my area. I did notice that thunder. That was the longest rumble of thunder I've ever known in my life. I'm like,
it was a light show out there.
Was that my tummy? What's going on? It's been pretty spectacular, yeah, from the early morning hours, and now you can still see some darker clouds hanging above. It's 20 degrees right now in Winnipeg, west winds 5 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling, the humidity sitting at 88%. You're going to notice that humidity today, and of course the heat still, which perhaps is partly what prompted those thunderstorms that rolled through last night. Heat and humidity is often, the combination that it takes to get those spectacular storms. But we still have air quality, what are these ones? Sorry, my brain just totally blanked on me. Warnings, air quality warnings, and the air quality statement is the yellow that you're seeing there. So poor smoky conditions through much of northern Manitoba, then a whole lot of heat and storm activity. And here you can see it rolling through. That's what passed by, moving on into northwestern Ontario, but still another round looks like it's right behind it there. And we still could get clipped throughout the day today with those showers and thunderstorms. Here's the futurecast. You'll see what I'm talking about. Just activity kind of lingering throughout the day today, moving across northern Manitoba as well. It will start to clear out, so tomorrow is looking a little bit brighter yet. And by Sunday, maybe a few more clouds could be passing through. Temperatures will settle a little bit for the weekend, but today will be a scorcher still. 31 degrees expected with that possible risk of storms. And then cooling, only to see it on the rise again. Not much of a break. By the middle of next week, the temperature's soaring again.
Thanks, Terry. People living in Lynn Lake are being told they need to leave again because of fire. The mandatory evacuation order begins today, but officials haven't given a specific time. In a social media post Thursday night, the town says wildfires are threatening some hydro lines and highways, which could make travel more complicated. Water treatment and emergency services will also be affected by this evacuation. Officials are also asking people who are able to leave home on their own to do it ASAP and head to Brandon, which is about a 10-hour drive south. Right now, there are 60 wildfires burning in Manitoba. 17 of those are out of control. 3 people are now dead following a collision involving 2 vehicles near Swan River on Canada Day. And as we told you yesterday, 2 of the victims are well known within Manitoba's music scene. The band Royal Canoe says bassist Brendan Berg and his partner were killed. As CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, the tragedy is adding significance to what has been a very deadly year on provincial roads.
Manitoba's music community is remembering one of their own following a fatal vehicle crash. Indie pop band Royal Canoe confirmed on their social media that bass player Brendan Berg and his partner were killed on July 1st, a day before his 43rd birthday.
I've known Brendan since high school from the South Osborne community, so there are many communities that are mourning.
The Post says the tragedy is leaving an enormous and sudden hole in the lives of everyone who knew him.
He was kind and gentle and generous and an incredible talent.
RCMP say the crash on Highway 10 north of Swan River near Bozeman also claimed the life of a 29-year-old passenger in another vehicle.
We've lost, I believe, 7 individuals in the last week due to multi-vehicle collisions and an ATV rollover.
Numbers from RCMP show more people have died on Manitoba highways this year from last, 34 to date compared to 23 in 2024. The grim stat is also above the 5-year average of 30. Mounties say with summer comes more vehicles on the highways, so drivers need to pay attention, slow down, and be responsible.
Drinking and driving, failing to wear a seatbelt, distracted driving, those are... At least one of these 3 is probably a cause of most of our fatalities.
Road Safety Services Manitoba says complacency behind the wheel is a silent killer.
Typically at higher speeds on long travel journeys, drivers do become very comfortable, and that's where we see the biggest mistakes that they do happen.
A Winnipeg professor is calling for a national strategy where major collisions are analyzed to prevent future crashes.
Canada can do better and should do better, and that we should make a greater effort in improving road safety across the country.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
There was another person involved in the crash near Swan River. RCMP say the driver of the other vehicle, a 36-year-old man, is in hospital in stable condition. Some people living in the West End say they fear their neighborhood will become a banking desert after another closure.
Banks should be the pillar of a community. They have an obligation to the community. People say they're just a business, and they are. But when a bank is making $16 billion in a year, they can afford areas like this.
The Royal Bank of Canada at the corner of Sherbrooke Street and Sargent Avenue is set to close July 11th. Protest organizers say it's the last remaining bank in an area. They say it leaves thousands of West End residents without a bank they can walk to, forcing them to travel by bus, Uber, or taxi to the next closest location. They say the closure affects seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income residents. Residents were asked to sign a petition to go to Canada's Minister of Finance, urging the federal government to intervene.
Supports all the folks in our neighborhood who really banking in person is the way they meet their financial needs. So the loss of this bank is going to have a huge impact on the community as a whole. And so I'm hoping that RBC listens to the voices of Union Station and reverses their decision.
The RBC closure follows earlier departures by BMO and other financial institutions. In a statement to CTV News, RBC says the branch is merging with the Ellis Avenue at Empress Street location. It says staff will work one-on-one with any clients who need support during the transition. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to sign his, in quotes, big, beautiful spending bill into law today.
Motion is adopted.
The House of Representatives passed the bill by 4 votes after a marathon debate. So what's inside the bill? It's a mix of tax cuts and other spending that's expected to add $3.3 trillion to the U.S. national debt. It also includes historic cuts to programs like Medicaid and food stamps. A bit of relief for Canadian investors, though, because a section of the bill that would have raised taxes on foreign investments was scrapped. President Trump will sign the bill as part of 4th of July celebrations today. Nikolai Ehlers is waving goodbye to the Winnipeg Jets. The winger has signed a 6-year deal with the Carolina Hurricanes, valued at $51 million U.S. or $8.5 million a season. Ehlers spent 10 seasons in Winnipeg, playing 674 games for 225 goals and 520 points. He also took part in 45 playoff games, adding 9 goals and 21 points. Ehlers was drafted 9th overall by Winnipeg in 2014. This isn't the most glamorous job in the world, but it's for science. Workers at the Chester Zoo in the UK have started the Poo Zoo project. The name is pretty self-explanatory. They collect waste from endangered species as a way to harvest their cells. Sometimes cells from inside an animal's gut makes it out with the waste, and they're viable for breeding programs. Scientists say this is a cheap and non-invasive method to collect genetic materials. Here's a look now what's happening on Portage Avenue. Look at that. Looks like a good start so far to the day. No problems to tell you about. If you see anything out there, though, please let us know. Let's go now to Joseph Bernacki, who's live on St. Mary Avenue this morning. You're hanging out with the Downtown Community Safety Unit with the Winnipeg Police Service. Good morning, Joseph.
I sure am, Rochelle. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Manitoba. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. We're talking about downtown safety, as Rochelle mentioned at the top of the hour today, with Winnipeg Police Service and Downtown Community Safety Partnership, working to keep people safe over the summer with, visitors up, especially during the summer months here downtown. They're working hard to keep people safe. So coming up throughout the show today, we're going to be talking about their downtown safety strategy, what they have in place, working in collaboration with DCSP. You've probably seen members of DCSP walking around downtown, as well as officers on foot patrol here with WPS. We're hoping to have a conversation with the Chief of Police in the 7 o'clock hour. And coming up in about half an hour's time, we're going to speak to the Central Division Commander here with WPS, talking about how foot patrols are so important to keeping people safe downtown, observations made by community members, and really important conversations to have for your Friday CTV Morning Live here in Winnipeg. So we'll be coming up. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you for that, Joseph. Terry, for your Friday morning smile, here are the cutest crunching critters. Check this out. Aw, meet Biggie, Princess, and Scar. These 3 rescued groundhogs are enjoying a healthy snack of broccoli crowns. Unlike Groundhog Day, every day is different for this trio. They're so sweet. I love the little crunchy sounds.
Right? And I've said this before, what is it about animals that allows this to be such a pleasing and I don't know, titillating sound, if that's the word? Because you listen to a human chew their food like that.
It drives you nuts.
And that induces this rage.
Oh, I'd love to hear my kids crunching broccoli like that. But anyway, how's it feeling out there right now?
Muggy. Oh my goodness, the humidity is high. And I came out here pretty excited to see what was going to be in my rain gauge. Nothing. Nothing at all in my rain gauge. And my rooftop pool, which usually fills up after a good storm, it's also looking pretty bone dry. Don't get me wrong, I can tell that it rained. I mean, the patio is wet, but it really didn't amount to too much as spectacular as those storms might have looked on the satellite image or sounded when I was tucked into bed, and woken by that rumbling thunder. Anyway, not a whole lot of rain out here. It is a warm one though. 20 degrees is where we begin, and that temperature will continue to soar. The wind's light this morning. Out of the south, they'll be shifting within a matter of hours, and a north wind then expected today. And the humidity, yes, that's going to be a factor with the temperatures on the rise, but there's still the possibility of some precipitation, showers, and maybe thunderstorms still scattered and patchy across the entire province. The risk will be there today. We also have air quality statements in effect for much of northern Manitoba, either warnings or those statements. So air quality poor up north and just hot and humid here in the south. Taking a break right now. We'll be back with more on CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live weather brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Good morning. It is 6:15. Winnipeg police are looking for a suspect in a series of sexual assaults that occurred Wednesday evening near the Health Sciences Centre. Police say the first happened around 7 when a teenager was sexually assaulted by an unknown man. 12 minutes later, a female HSC staff member was assaulted while walking east on William near Furby. That was followed by another sexual assault a half hour later when a woman walking in the HSC tunnels was sexually assaulted. A fourth incident happened only a few minutes later to a woman walking on Emily Street near McDermott. The suspect is described as a man in his 20s with a slim build and dark hair. He was wearing a Jets shirt and had jewelry on. Anyone with information about the suspect is asked to call the Sex Crimes Unit or Crime Stoppers. A suspended Nova Scotia RCMP officer is facing more sexual assault charges.
Disturbing. It's embarrassing. I apologize to Nova Scotians. I want to reassure Nova Scotians that we treat this extremely seriously. We have robust internal processes to address this behavior.
40-year-old Constable William McNutt didn't appear in court Thursday, but charges were read before a judge. He faces 9 charges in connection with 4 investigations involving 3 women. The charges include 7 counts of sexual assault between 2019 and 2024. These charges haven't been tested in court. He became an officer in 2021. The first woman came forward in 2023. McNutt is suspended without pay, and his employment status will be dealt with after criminal proceedings are finished. A rare security scare at 6 major Canadian airports all around the same time during one of the busiest travel periods of the year. CTV's Judy Trin on what caused flights to be temporarily grounded and how many travelers were impacted.
Bleary-eyed travelers departing on sunrise flights were jolted by a security scare.
I just checked in 10 minutes ago. Flight's canceled. That's it. Good luck.
The gates were closed. We couldn't get through, so we all sat down, and there was a lot of questions, and then a friend of mine just texted me and said there was a bomb threat.
The threat, directed at NAV Canada, forced it to evacuate its air traffic control facilities in 6 cities: Ottawa, Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Vancouver. NAV Canada says it collaborated with authorities to ensure the safety of all personnel and passengers.
This is considered an act of aviation safety that was violated by individuals, and that, the full force of the law was going to be, both on the investigative side as well as on the charging side, these are criminal events.
NAV Canada won't comment on what motivated the threat and how it was delivered, but it issued a temporary order to ground planes, preventing takeoffs and landings. Thousands of passengers were impacted.
We were walked right up to our gate on time, and as we were approaching gate 26, we saw a row of security people walking towards us saying, everybody back, turn around.
Normal operations resumed about 3 hours later, but for some passengers, these delays turned into logistical headaches. Travelers were grateful they're safe, but annoyed at being knocked off track.
Just got a notification that we were rebooked 24 hours too late for our family reunion.
In the end, there was no explosive device, but several police agencies and Transport Canada continue to investigate, searching for clues to find the culprit. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
We've been warned for years about the health dangers of eating too much processed meat. Now, a new study suggests there is strong evidence that there is no safe amount. Researchers analyzed data from more than 60 previous studies. They found people who ate as little as one hot dog a day had an 11% greater risk of type 2 diabetes and a 7% increased risk of colorectal cancer than those who didn't eat any. It's important to note the studies were observational, meaning they show correlation, not causation. It was published in the journal Nature Medicine. Winnipeg is welcoming young Indigenous football players this week for an interprovincial championship. The U18 Indigenous Cup got underway at Maple Grove Park on Thursday. It features tackle football players from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and for the first year, Northwestern Ontario. Football Manitoba and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hosted a camp this past spring to select the team representing our province.
So we've seen in the province of Manitoba, we've actually seen growth in tackle football pretty consistently over the last, coming out of COVID, 20 to 30% a year. So it's a really popular sport. I tell people all the time, I think we're actually in the golden years of football in this province with the Bombers' success and with the Bison's success and our high school league thriving, our minor leagues thriving. Flag football has taken off.
Playoffs start at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Tickets are going fast for the Winnipeg Folk Festival. The Folk Fest is turning 50 next weekend, and 4-day tickets are sold out. But individual and 4-day camping passes are still available. The Folk Festival is set to begin at 5 o'clock next Thursday at Birds Hill Park. Already, volunteers are getting the park ready to host thousands of music fans. This year's lineup includes Allison Russell, Ani DeFranco, Blackie and the Rodeo Kings, and Bruce Coburn, who performed at the very first folk festival in 1974. There are also special 50th anniversary events and exhibits. For day passes or camping passes, visit winnipegfolkfestival.ca. Here's a look now what's happening at Confusion Corner. It looks like things are starting off really well here for your Friday morning. No issues to tell you about. If you see any problems out there, though, please let us know.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
Taking a look through the Bath Fitter Live Eye. Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Some heavy clouds still linger. We're not seeing much in the way of rain now. Doesn't mean that we won't. The possibility is still there of showers or thunderstorms throughout much of the province today, not just here in the south where they rumbled through last night. Perhaps a lot of you were woken up by that noise in the early morning hours. It didn't amount to a lot of rain here in Winnipeg, less than a millimeter in fact, but in areas surrounding us, parts of the southwest, got up to 25 millimeters of rain. So it was kind of hit and miss for the most part. Low 20s, that's what we're waking up to this morning, putting us well above seasonal. 13 degrees a normal low. Moving up into northern Manitoba, you two are feeling the heat with the temperatures sitting for the most part in the mid to high teens. Churchill the exception there in the high single digits, 9 degrees for you to begin the day, but the air quality is poor throughout much of northern Manitoba with the warnings, that's the purple or the statement advisories in place. And then further into the southeast this morning in parts of northwestern Ontario, all of the bright pink, that's the heat warning. We're going to be feeling those temperatures on the rise once again. Lots of activity, I was saying, as far as storms go, what rolled through, but what's still to come. Showers, possible thunderstorms that could be passing through in the next few hours or in fact throughout the day today. Temperatures, though, they're going to be climbing right across the province with mid-20s expected across northern Manitoba by noontime and high high 20s here in the south, eventually pushing up into that 30-degree range. So scorching temps to finish off the week. A bit of a cool down for the coming weekend, only to see the mercury on the rise on the other side of next week. And beautiful double rainbow spotted in Douglas after the rain passed through. Thanks to Brad for the photo, and keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg weather at ctv.ca. We're taking a break. We'll be back.
Good morning. It is 6:26. A vicious swarming of a Muslim woman near Toronto is now being investigated as a possible hate crime. Here's CTV's Allison Hurst on the alleged perpetrators and community outrage.
Watch as a person jumps onto the counter in the middle of the screen at an Oshawa Pizza. It happens again before another hops over to try and take something. That's when the owner comes out of the back trying to stop them and is swarmed in a violent attack.
And I was devastated. Absolutely devastated.
Skylar Griswold was at the plaza around 12:30 a.m. Wednesday when it happened.
And then there was like running and screaming and yelling. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know what's going on here, but don't want to get too involved.
The surveillance footage is blurred because police say the suspects are all under the age of 18. As it continues, more people get involved. The victim was taken to hospital.
My mother is still recovering from the attack. She is deeply shaken. The incident has left her scarred and extremely on edge.
The victim's daughter spoke at a news conference.
Hearing the news, I was numb. After seeing the footage of the incident multiple times, every time, I am left in shock to see my mother attacked by several people at the same time.
Durham Regional Police say the investigation is in its early stages, but their hate crime and equity and inclusion units are involved.
We are looking for a group of males and females. I believe the majority of them were females. However, we are looking for both.
Police did not give an exact number of suspects, but the National Council of Canadian Muslims says there were 10 and are calling for action.
It's time for the words to become actions now. Our elected officials to acknowledge what is happening across the country and to formulate a real plan with real solutions.
They want to see consultation with community members, a robust anti-hate crime unit, an extension of the anti-hate grant to include businesses, and an anti-hate and anti-Islamophobia curriculum.
She was beaten up by 10 people. Her hijab was pulled off, head stomped, and we're lucky that she's alive.
Griswold also works in the plaza and knows the victim.
This woman has been nothing but like a positive pillar in our community. She feeds people when they don't have money. She helps out in the community.
She hopes the suspects are caught. Allison Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
It's 20 degrees to kick off your morning. Mild and muggy. Winds out of the west-southwest. They're 12 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling. The humidity sitting at 87%. It was a scorcher yesterday, but that breeze at least kept the air moving. And then into the evening time, the warnings map lit up. Now, yesterday, that included even storm and tornado watches and warnings throughout parts of southwestern Manitoba and parts of Saskatchewan. That's all lifted now, but still remaining in place is the air quality warnings. That's the purple that you're seeing. The air quality advisory is slightly downgraded from the warnings. That's the yellow. Bless you. And here through the southeastern part of the province, we've got some heat warnings. All of the fuchsia that you're seeing lit up. That includes parts of northwestern Ontario as well. There's those storms that rolled through last night, still pushing off to the east of us with another round right behind it. And we will likely find ourselves in the path of that, although it does seem to be kind of tapering or easing somewhat as it gets closer to us. So it might just be some passing showers, which parts of northern Manitoba might also see today. All of us at risk of some of that precipitation. And the heat, ooh, it's going to be warm, 31 degrees with winds eventually shifting out of the north, remaining in place overnight with that risk of storms continuing. 18 degrees, our overnight low keeps us well above seasonal, but for tomorrow temperatures settle a bit. 25 is normal for this time of year. Mix of sun and cloud, bit more of a breeze out of the north at about 30 clicks. Slightly cooler yet on Sunday with a bit more cloud cover before we slowly begin to see the mercury on the rise, and that heat will be back midweek.
Thank you, Terry. A 29-year-old motorcyclist has died after a crash Wednesday night. It happened on Pembina Highway near McGilvery. The Winnipeg Police Service says a motorcycle was traveling south on Pembina when it collided with an SUV leaving a parking lot. The motorcyclist died from his injuries in hospital. Police are asking any witnesses, including those with dashboard cameras, to contact the Winnipeg Police Traffic Division. The town of Neepawa is going to see some improvements to its main street. The provincial government has announced almost $5 million in upgrades to Highway 16, the Yellowhead Highway. The aim is to improve access to the newly expanded health center and to develop and improve road network connecting to a new daycare, school, and the industrial park. In a news release, the province says the upgrades are needed to keep up with the town's growth. The project is being done in 2 phases. Manitoba Growth, Renewal and Opportunities Program. Construction of the health center access is expected to be complete by this fall. While the city's election isn't for another year, we know at least one current council member is planning to seek re-election. Mayor Scott Gillingham will seek a second term as mayor in the 2026 municipal election. The mayor's communications director confirmed the decision via email. Gillingham was elected in 2022, winning 27.5% of the vote among 11 candidates. Prior to that, he served as councillor for the St. James Ward and was the chair of the Finance Committee. The Montreal mother accused of abandoning her 3-year-old daughter on the side of a highway is now facing a new charge.
Receive other evidence that I cannot tell you today, but we have enough to put this charge.
The mother was in court yesterday for a bail hearing. She was already facing a charge of child abandonment. She's now also facing a more serious charge of criminal negligence. Her 3-year-old daughter was reported missing on June 15th. After a massive search, she was found alive 3 days later in Ontario, about 150 kilometers away from her home in Montreal. A new report from the U.S. says barely any of the fentanyl seized south of the border originates from Canada. The study was conducted by the U.S. think tank, the Manhattan Institute. It examined thousands of large-scale fentanyl seizures across 80 U.S. counties along the Canadian and Mexican borders. They found that by weight, about 99% of fentanyl pills, capsules gathered in large seizures between 2013 and 2024 were discovered in the U.S.-Mexico border counties. The reports add large Canadian border seizures were relatively rare. There's nothing quite like a baseball game on a hot summer night, but for some, the sights and sounds of a ballpark can be a little overwhelming. That's why the Winnipeg Goldeyes are trying something new. As CTV's Daniel Homerson shows you, the club held an autism acceptance game last night.
Well, let's go right to the base. Oh, we're running the wrong way. No, it is the right way.
Cyrus Banjovic has never run the bases at a ball diamond before, but he's a pretty speedy learner.
Go, 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 go. Run.
And on Thursday night, Cyrus is throwing out the first pitch at his first ever Winnipeg Goldeyes game.
His independence is really, really impressive. I'm so proud of this little guy.
Cyrus has autism, and his dad says sports are a way the 5-year-old connects with the world around him.
I found that sports seem to be a bridge for him to understanding a lot about himself, too.
Jeff Banjovic says it started with swimming lessons and watching hockey, including the Manitoba Moose autism acceptance game earlier this year.
What I thought was amazing is how everything came together with so much support for these little guys. And I thought, why don't we do this for the Goldeyes?
It didn't take too much convincing for the baseball team and the St. Amant Foundation to jump on board to celebrate acceptance and inclusivity.
This game, it's for the kids, it's for people with autism, and everything is set up for them to be able to have a great night and be included with everybody else.
We have sensory kits at the fan services booth with earplugs and fidget toys. We have our family lounge that if things get too loud or overwhelming.
Jeff Banjovic says these types of experiences are invaluable for kids like Cyrus and open up a world of possibilities one step at a time.
The more inclusivity that we have for our kids this way, the more options they will have in this world. And that's what I want them to have, all the options.
A tough night on the road for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were hoping to extend their winning streak to 4 games. Winnipeg just couldn't get much going, allowing the Stamps, playing in their first ever Stampede Bowl, to roll up a big lead late in the 4th. With just about 2:35 left in the game, this 4-yard Zach Caleros pass to Jareth Stearns, who fights off Damon Webb for the grab, was Winnipeg's only touchdown. Calgary ending up on top in this one by a final score of 37-16. The Blue Bombers are now 3-1 on the season. They're next the action at home against the Stamps next Friday. Here's a look at what's happening outside of Kenaston Sterling Lyon. It looks like things are moving well to start off this Friday morning. No issues to tell you about. Lots of puddles out there, though, so be mindful of pedestrians, please. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34. The provincial average is lower at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.28. The lowest price in the city is $1.17. All this info is on GasBuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by KidneyCard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Let's go back now to Joseph Bernacki. We're talking about downtown safety and a unit that's working on keeping people safe. Good morning.
They certainly are, Rochelle. Good morning, and good morning, Winnipeg. Very pleased to be joined at this time by Inspector Helen Peters. She is the Central Division Commander with WPS. Thank you for your service, and pleasure to have you on our show this morning.
You're very welcome. Good morning. It's good to be here.
So downtown safety, as Rochelle mentioned, is our focus for the show today. You guys have the downtown safety strategy. Very important. Can you talk to us, give us an overview of what it means for keeping people safe downtown?
Absolutely. The strategy is really focused on 4 key initiatives. The first one, building a continuum of safety, and that really means identifying the organizations that all have a role in helping people in need, identifying risks, and really creating actionable tasks about that. Sharing our metrics and data is really good for understanding what is occurring downtown and things that need to be addressed. Looking at things like environmental safety, access control, and they're really targeting the root causes of crime and what we see occurring downtown.
We'll have a lot of, officers on foot patrol downtown. How important is it to have those in deterring crime, speaking with community members and getting a better understanding, Inspector, of what's really happening downtown?
Since foot patrol's been down here, and now with the increase of our presence, we're so grateful for. We have so many people in the community that's coming up to our officers and saying, thank you so much for being here. It's so good to see you. Just knowing that you're close by in case we need you, and actually being that visible deterrence and allowing people to see us, to be here in uniform, and knowing that we're just within an arm's reach.
And I imagine partnerships with DCSP and Downtown Winnipeg Biz are also pretty important to have as well.
It's really important because we know that police aren't always the right response, and to be able to work with partners who provide a different response than we do, that allows us to focus on what is good police work, and they can really help with those well-being, the social needs, helping to navigate people to the resources that they need. And it really is becoming a wonderful, positive partnership between the two of us, understanding and helping people to know what is the right call, who do we call in different situations.
Inspector Peters, we appreciate your time on the show. We're going to be continuing this conversation on downtown safety in the 7 o'clock hour here, just outside the Millennium Library. Stay tuned on CTV Morning Live.
Thank you, Joseph. Let's go out to the rooftop this morning, Terry. I woke up at about 2 a.m. The whole bedroom was lit up with lightning, and I was thinking, Terry had it. She was right on the money.
Right? That's what I was thinking. That was going to be our alarm clock this morning. It was a little bit earlier than I would have liked. Could have used another hour's sleep. Who am I kidding? I went right back to sleep. But I did wake up by that rumble. And I made a note to myself that it seemed like the longest thunderclap that I have heard. Not the loudest. We've heard some that scare the sneeze out of you. But this one, I swear, rumbled on for 10 seconds, and I almost wondered if I needed to go check on things. But then I'm like, what do you even check on in that scenario? Anyway, it didn't really amount to too much as far as rain goes. Winnipeg got less than a millimeter, about half a millimeter out at the airport and closer to a millimeter at the Forks. But some areas through southwestern Manitoba got 25 millimeters of rain from what passed through into the evening overnight. And still more to come today with showers, thunderstorms expected across much of the province. We also have air quality statements and advisories in place through much of northern Manitoba. And then heat warnings in place here in the south, where the mercury is still expected to soar once again. Taking a break right now. We'll be back with more on CTV Morning Live.
CTV Morning Live weather brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Looking at the early markets, it's a slow start on Wall Street this morning. Dow futures are down 277 points. The Nasdaq futures are down 159 points, while the S&P futures are off 42. The Canadian dollar is seeing a slight increase this morning. Overseas, the Hang Seng has dropped 153 points, while Japan's Nikkei has ticked up by 24 points. Good morning. It is 6:45. Some residents in the West End are pleading with a major bank to stop the impending closure of their local branch. Several people were protesting outside the RBC on the corner of Sargent and Sherbrooke on Thursday. The branch is set to close next week, and as CTV's Danton Unger reports, residents say this will leave a big hole in the community.
Sheila Hazad has lived here in the Spence neighborhood for 55 years, and she's been banking here at the RBC on the corner of Sargent and Sherbrooke for just as long.
It's a long time. I had many mortgages with them and everything.
But that will soon change, as this branch is set to close as early as next week.
It's just horrible. When you think of it, I don't think they put a lot of thought into who were here and want to stay.
Hazad was among several West End residents protesting the bank's closure Thursday and collecting signatures for a petition to keep its doors open.
A lot of the businesses and the people who live here really need and use this bank.
Protest organizer Cheryl Martin says she met with RBC and was told the closure was to better meet customers' needs by having longer hours at other branches and encourage people to switch to online and mobile banking.
Which again, not everybody has that technology.
This isn't the only branch set to close. The RBC on Main Street and James Avenue is also shutting down later this month, leaving residents to either bank downtown or near Polo Park.
It becomes a tax on the poor because now it's a $7 bus ride back, to round trip to be able to do your banking.
Health Minister Uzoma Azuera, MLA for the area, says they wrote a letter asking for the bank to stay open, but so far they've received no response.
Understand how devastating the closure of this location would be for folks living in this community and make the right choice here. RBC needs to stay in the neighborhood, stay in Union Station.
For Hazad, she says if this RBC does close, she'll be switching banks. But she's hopeful it won't come to that.
Because no matter how late it is, I have hope until the hour has passed.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
In a statement to CTV News, RBC says the branch will be closing July 11th, merging with the location on Ellis at Empress Street. It says clients can visit whatever RBC branch is most convenient and adds it will work one-on-one with any client who needs support during the transition. The BC RCMP is taking responsibility for an out-of-control wildfire burning north of Lytton.
Honestly unfortunate. We meet certain standards with the maintenance of our equipment, and at this particular point, it does appear that equipment was simply failed.
Here's what happened. Dive team officers had been at a nearby lake looking for a missing swimmer and towing their boat on a trailer. RCMP say one of the trailer's wheels flew off and landed in the ditch. The sparks from that ignited a fire in the brush that rapidly spread. The fire has grown now to 130 hectares. The head of General Motors Canada says the auto industry needs to stay nimble during the ongoing U.S. trade war.
We have to remain agile and ready to respond to whatever eventuates here.
The head of GM Canada was one of the auto industry leaders who met with Prime Minister Mark Carney this week. He didn't share details about what they talked about, but he did say there is a sense of optimism with trade talks happening between Canada and the U.S. Auto sales have not been hit hard, even with the uncertainty over trade. But dealers do say they're worried about the supply chain being able to keep up with demand for new cars. A BC man is facing multiple charges after attempting to drive his Tesla off a moving ferry on Canada Day. In a video posted to social media, you can see the Tesla trying to get across the ferry deck where officers are standing. The driver, who wasn't wearing any pants, then comes out of the car to talk to the police and intervene and arrest him. He is currently in custody and is facing assault, mischief, and obstruction charges. City Council has taken a closer look at Winnipeg community centres and the model used to run them.
We want to ensure that community centres are sustainable into the future because they are primarily run by volunteers.
The General Council of Winnipeg Community Centres say the existing model from 50 years ago isn't sustainable. So it has developed Plan 2045. It proposes the creation of governance boards responsible for directing centres on operations and programs, as well as an annual grant of $250,000 to hire staff.
This is intended to be to create some guideposts and some supports, additional supports, and to make sure that if we don't have enough volunteers, that we do have backup singers. We need staff to help keep these doors open.
The report notes volunteer numbers numbers dropped by more than half compared to before the COVID-19 pandemic. If approved, the plan would take place in 4 phases, with the General Council reporting back to the city in 2027 and every 4 years following. The Executive Policy Committee will consider the plan next Tuesday. Here's a look at what's happening on McPhillip Street. Looks pretty dry and so far moving quite well over here. No issues to tell you about in traffic. If you see any issues out there, though, please let us know.
Those streets did look dry. You would never think that a massive storm rolled through in the overnight hours, although Winnipeg really didn't see a whole lot, not compared to other places. And you can even see some sunshine busting out from behind those clouds right now. It's 20 degrees at the moment in Winnipeg with winds out of the west-southwest, just 12 kilometers per hour. The pressure falling, the humidity sitting at 87%. Yeah, about a millimeter of precipitation in Winnipeg compared to up to 25 millimeters in some areas surrounding us. There is still the chance that we get rolled over by round 2. That was round 1, moving now off into northwestern Ontario. But you can see a little more behind it, though it does seem to be kind of tapering, petering out a little bit. Although northern Manitoba, you too could be seeing some precipitation. You're also dealing with air quality warnings and advisories back in place again with some heavier smoke hanging around, especially places like Thompson. Lingering smoke will hang around through the day today, whereas other places might find a little bit of relief with some showers, possible thunderstorms. It's the thunderstorms that we don't need, with lightning striking, risking more of that fire activity. And again, still dealing with the smoky conditions, although mid-20 temperatures will put you above seasonal up north. High 20s throughout much of the south and west central Manitoba. That risk of storms more so across the southern part of the province, whereas central Manitoba, clear or smoky depending where you are, and that possibility of showers or thunderstorms with some very hot temperatures. We have heat advisories also in place here throughout much of southern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. A hot high of 31 is going to be warm and muggy today, slightly cooling for the coming weekend.
Thanks, Terry. Let's check in now on Bo at Bounce 99.9. Good morning, Bo. Happy Friday.
Oh, it's always happy, Rochelle, although I'd be happier if I didn't have a nightmare from last night that the Bombers lost 37-16.
What happened?
We're not used to that. I don't know. They didn't seem like they were ready to play. I don't know. I guess we got to let the other guys win sometimes, right?
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes. Speaking of nightmares, for me, that's a Hallmark Christmas movie. And it's that time of... Hang on. It's that time of year. Starting tomorrow, they're going to show the Hallmark Christmas movies in July. Now, I know a lot of them are filmed here in Winnipeg, which is great, but I don't watch them at Christmas time, let alone am I going to watch them here in the summer heat. How are you on the Hallmark Christmas movies?
Well, I like watching them at Christmas. Not at all. I don't really watch a lot in the summertime. I'd rather be outside and reading, and it's just different for me in the summertime. But during Christmas, yes, I do like watching them. However, I have like this weird thing where if there's a love interest in one movie that I watched, I can't watch another Hallmark movie in that same Christmas season with that same love interest because he's out or she's out. If I saw both of them in some other movie, then I can't watch any other movie where they're in it because I just feel like they belong to someone else already. It's very strange. So if I see them, I'm like, nope, gotta move on.
I love that. So you have rules, and you know they do have a lot of recurring characters, right?
They
or at least the actors go from movie to movie, right?
Oh yeah, and every year they come back every year. So then there's a whole new love interest, and I just feel like it's odd, and I don't know. I can't get over it. He's already taken.
Hey, Speaking of love, my congratulations to Terry on their beautiful wedding last weekend. And I know all of you there, the CTV morning crew, you guys look marvelous as always.
Yeah.
So what a great last name for a weather person.
Exactly.
Gail. So congratulations, Terry. I love it.
Well, thank you for that, Bo, and have a wonderful weekend. Well, Zen is a 3-year-old in Maryland who has his own podcast. Here's ABC's Danny New.
Sing something for the people.
Donkey, donkey, donkey.
What is it like to host a podcast with your 3-year-old son?
Whatever he wants to talk about, he controls the conversation. He controls the whole show.
Probably sounds about right. Though usually for Frank here and this naturally gifted orator, Zen Martin, the topic often turns to
Dinosaurs.
Or in an interview, the sound his monster truck makes.
Let me hear it.
Whoa! Now, this all started last summer unintentionally.
Hold the microphone. Say, my name is Zen.
My name is Zen.
When Frank was waiting for a guest in this studio near their Maryland home and just started interviewing Zen,
I'm thinking he isn't even speaking in full sentences. He's speaking in gibberish. No one's going to really but you know what? They might find it funny. Let's just see how it goes. And then 100 million views later.
After many viral clips, Frank and Zen now have a whole army of what they call their internet aunties. One of the aunties even sent them the shirts they're wearing, and some have gone perhaps too far.
Someone has made a U-turn in traffic, got out of their car, and tried to come and pinch his cheeks.
On Instagram, one commenter writes, "He is the cutest thing ever. I love how you understand everything he is saying." However, this was not the case recently when it sounded like Zen said the word you might use for a female dog.
What?
Like a tunnel. Like
a bridge.
Yeah.
Bridge.
But viral clips like these aside.
Don't call her Shelby. Her name is Mommy, okay?
You call her Shelby and babe?
Frank says his favorite part of this whole podcast experience has been the time he and Zen have gotten to spend together.
What do you think Zen will say when he's older and he goes back and watches all this?
He's going to say, why was you always filming me, bruh? And then he's going to get even older and he's going to say thank you.
So if you want to check it out, their show is rightfully called The Zen Martin Show. They also now sell merch that says Internet Auntie on it. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
What a cutie. All right, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back after this. Good morning. It is 7 o'clock on Friday, July the 4th. You're watching CTV Morning Live. We made it to the end of the week. It was a short week, though, so it was kind of nice. Coming up at 7:52, we're going to tell you about a survey or a study that is happening right now for cancer survivors. It's looking at whether physiotherapy would work in all kinds of cancers after treatments are over. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that and how you can participate. But first, your headlines. 3 dead in Canada Day crash, including a local musician. The deadly collision adding to a tragic year on Manitoba roads. Plus, evacuation orders back in force for Lynn Lake as wildfires threaten homes, highways, and hydro lines. And Go Habs Go gets the green light in Quebec. Fans can officially bring back the famous chant. Bringing in Terry now. It was a hot night last night, lots of heat. And then all of a sudden, all that rain this morning as well. Are we going to get more rain today?
Yeah, the storms that rolled through in the early morning hours with those rumbles of thunder that perhaps got you out of bed, maybe not. It did amount to a little bit of rain, but very little fell here in Winnipeg compared to other areas. We may see a little more today. It's kind of touch and go. 20 degrees is where we're sitting right now. We're certainly going to be feeling the heat. The winds right now out of the west-southwest, they're 12 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity sitting at 87%. Now, we do have our warning map lit up again, not just with the heat warnings that were issued yesterday by Environment Canada and linger now through parts of southeastern Manitoba, northwestern Ontario, but then the air quality issues are back again. So the smoke warnings, the air quality warning itself is the purple, the advisory or the statement issued slightly downgraded, that's the yellow that you're seeing. Now, yesterday was really active as far as the evening weather goes, with even some tornado and storm watches through parts of southwestern Manitoba and further west of us in Saskatchewan. All of those warnings have now lifted, but you can still see the storms that either rolled through or will still pass through. Southern Manitoba certainly will be seeing some of that, but it's not just here in the south. Parts of northern Manitoba as well, likely to deal with some showers, maybe some thunderstorms today. And then, of course, yes, the smoke up north and the heat here in the south. That heat could amount to 31 degrees, another scorcher of a day to finish the week, but it will cool down slightly for the coming weekend before we begin to see the mercury on the rise through the middle of next week. And Julianne, just 3 years old, is who we have to thank for this bit of art today. Absolutely stunning. I love the bees, the butterflies, the ladybugs, you name it. Send your art to us, please. Take a picture of it and email us to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thank you, Terry. People living in Lynn Lake are being told they need to leave again because of fire. The mandatory evacuation order begins today. but officials haven't given a specific time. In a social media post Thursday night, the town says wildfires are threatening some hydro lines and highways, which could make travel more complicated. Water treatment and emergency services will also be affected by this evacuation. Officials are also asking people who are able to leave home on their own to do it as soon as possible and head to Brandon, which is about a 10-hour drive south. Right now, there are 60 wildfires burning in Manitoba. 17 of those are out of control. 3 people are now dead following a collision involving 2 vehicles near Swan River on Canada Day. And as we told you yesterday, 2 of the victims are well known within Manitoba's music scene. The band Royal Canoe says bassist Brendan Berg and his partner were killed. As CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, the tragedy is adding significance to what has already been a very deadly year on provincial roads.
The music community is remembering one of their own following a fatal vehicle crash. Indie pop band Royal Canoe confirmed on their social media that bass player Brendan Berg and his partner were killed on July 1st, a day before his 43rd birthday.
I've known Brendan since high school from the South Osborne community, so there are many communities that are mourning.
The Post says the tragedy is leaving an enormous and sudden hole in the lives of everyone who knew him.
He was kind and gentle and generous and an incredible talent.
RCMP say the crash on Highway 10 north of Swan River near Bozeman also claimed the life of a 29-year-old passenger in another vehicle.
We've lost, I believe, 7 individuals in the last week due to multi-vehicle collisions and an ATV rollover.
Numbers from RCMP show more people have died on Manitoba highways this year from last, 34 to date compared to 23 in 2024. The grim stat is also above the 5-year average of 30. Mounties say with summer comes more vehicles on the highways, so drivers need to pay attention, slow down, and be responsible.
Drinking and driving, failing to wear a seatbelt, distracted driving, those are, at least one of these 3 is probably a cause of most of our fatalities.
Road Safety Services Manitoba says complacency behind the wheel is a silent killer.
Typically at higher speeds on long travel journeys, drivers do become very comfortable, and that's where we see the biggest mistakes that they do happen.
A Winnipeg professor is calling for a national strategy where major collisions are analyzed to prevent future crashes.
Canada can do better and should do better, and that we should make a greater effort in improving road safety across the country.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
There was another person involved in the crash near Swan River. RCMP say the driver of the other vehicle, a 36-year-old man, is in hospital in stable condition. Bomb threats caused delays at several Canadian airports Thursday morning, including here in Winnipeg. NAV Canada said threats affected airports in Vancouver, Ottawa, Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Airports Authority tells CTV News the security incident had minimal impact on operations and that only a few flights were delayed. Service gradually resumed after the evacuation of a number of sites while authorities assessed the threat. People are being reminded to stay safe around water after 2 people drowned in less than a month in Ottawa rivers.
The depth in the Ottawa River varies drastically, so if you're not a strong swimmer, there is current still in the water.
On Wednesday, a man drowned in the Ottawa River while trying to save his son who had gone underwater. The child was rescued and was taken to hospital in stable condition. This happened away from a designated swimming area. A little more than 2 weeks ago, an 18-year-old drowned while swimming with friends in the Rideau River. The Life Saving Society is urging people to swim in areas with lifeguards and stay in designated swimming areas. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to sign his, in quotes, big, beautiful spending bill into law today.
The motion is adopted.
The House of Representatives passed the bill by 4 votes after a marathon debate. So what's inside this bill? It's a mix of tax cuts and other spending that's expected to add $3.3 trillion to the U.S. national debt. It also includes historic cuts to programs like Medicaid and food stamps. A bit of relief for Canadian investors, though, because a section of the bill that would have raised taxes on foreign investments was scrapped. President Trump will sign the bill as part of 4th of July celebrations today. Nikolai Ehlers is waving goodbye to the Winnipeg Jets. The winger has signed a 6-year deal with the Carolina Hurricanes valued at $51 million U.S. or $8.5 million a season. Ehlers spent 10 seasons in Winnipeg, playing 674 games for 225 goals and 520 points. He also took part in 45 playoff games, adding 9 goals and 21 points. Ehlers was drafted 9th overall by Winnipeg in 2014. There is a new development in the Go Habs Go controversy. Quebec's language watchdog is now officially allowing use of the words "go" for cheering sports team. This after Montreal Transit switched to Allez Canadiens Allez during the Habs' last playoff run. That didn't go over well with fans, and Quebec's French language minister stepped in to reverse the change. Montreal Transit, however, says it's undecided about putting Go Habs Go back on its buses. Here's a look now at what is going on Osborne Street. Things are quite light here. Lots of puddles there, as you can see, though. So some parts of the city got, or that isn't a puddle, that is a camera or a light. Never mind, disregard. It looks dry, actually. If you see any problems out there, please let us know.
Canada's benchmark stock index, the S&P TSX Composite, finished at more than 27,000 points for the first time ever yesterday, closing at 27,034 points. It's now up more than 9% so far in 2025. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks posted big gains yesterday, but U.S. stock markets will be closed today for the July 4th holiday. A senior Wall Street strategist says the red-hot rally in U.S. stocks investors have enjoyed since early April is now at the point where investors should consider selling some of their stocks. Michael Hartnett of Bank of America said he would consider the S&P 500 index at 6,300 points to be a sell signal. The index closed within a fraction of a percentage point of that level yesterday. Hartnett said risks of a U.S. stock market bubble are rising. Finally, shares of Cargojet, the Mississauga-based air shipper, rose by more than 4% yesterday. The company announced an extension of its deal to ship packages for Amazon Canada. That new deal runs to the end of March 2029. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
Downtown community safety is what we're talking about with our Joseph Bernacki this morning. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Rochelle, and good morning, Manitoba. Yeah, we've been having some great conversations this morning with Winnipeg Police Service, as well as Downtown Community Safety Partnership later on in the show today, talking, of course, about keeping people downtown safe. Of course, with the summer months, downtown visitation is up as people are enjoying the Gold Eyes games, the Bomber games down, in the south end of the city, but they're going to bars and restaurants downtown. So we're having these conversations today, and in 20 minutes, we're hoping to speak with the Chief of Police, Gene Bowers, to talk about foot patrols again. And then at 7:42, conversations with Downtown Community Safety Partnership, their summer safety action plan. So they received funding earlier this summer from the province. We're going to be hearing about what that plan looks like, of course, as we see them out on patrols as well. Very important conversations for your Friday CTV Morning Live, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes or so. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Joseph. Let's go out to the rooftop now, and it's muggy out there, isn't it?
Yes, most definitely. Hot and humid is what you can expect out of today, enough so that Environment Canada has gone ahead and issued heat warnings. Well, actually, those heat warnings were in effect yesterday through much of southern Manitoba. This morning, it's southeastern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario who remain under the heat warnings as we wake up to 20 degrees. Winds out of the west-southwest, 12 clicks. The pressure falling, the humidity sitting at 87%. It's definitely muggy. The storms rolled through last night. We might still see a little bit of shower or thunderstorm activity today, although the precipitation here in Winnipeg, it really didn't amount to much. I was excited to see my rain gauge after I repositioned it and got ready with it perpendicular now to collect that rain, and only a millimeter fell in much of the city, although some areas surrounding us got up to 25 millimeters, a solid soaking. For northern Manitoba, you too might see some precipitation today, but more so it's the smoke that's going to be a nuisance once again, with air quality warnings and advisories in effect through much of northern Manitoba. Your temperatures too today are still expected to be up into those low to mid 20s, above what you would expect this time of year. And yes, here in the south, another scorcher into the low 30s. It should cool down and settle slightly as we look ahead to the weekend.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Let's check in now on our question of the day. We want to know, what's one clothing item you live in all summer long? Our question of the day has moved from Twitter, so now we want you to text your answer along with your name to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. At CTV Morning Live, we're all about celebrating your amazing pets, whether they're furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions are amazing. We want more, whether they're dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pal. Send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca, and then catch us every Thursday between 6 to 9 to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on CTV Morning Live. We're going to take a break here. We'll be back after this. Good morning. Coming up to 7:16, Winnipeg police are looking for a suspect in a series of sexual assaults that occurred Wednesday evening near the Health Sciences Centre. Police say the first happened around 7 when a teenager was sexually assaulted by an unknown man. 12 minutes later, a female HSC staff member was assaulted while walking east on William near Furby. That was followed by another sexual assault a half an hour later when a woman walking in the HSC tunnels was sexually assaulted. A fourth incident happened only a few minutes later to a woman walking on Emily Street near McDermott. The suspect is described as a man in his 20s with a slim build and dark hair. He was wearing a Jets shirt and had jewelry on. Anyone with information about the suspect is asked to call the Sex Crimes Unit or Crime Stoppers. The province's severe and ongoing wildfire situation is disrupting a major sporting event that was planned for this summer. On Thursday, the Manitoba Aboriginal Sports and Recreation Council, or MASRC, announced the postponement of the 2025 Manitoba Indigenous Summer Games. The games were to have taken place this month and next month at Norway House Cree Nation and at Saging First Nation. The games will take place instead during the summer of 2026. In a post on its website, the MASRC announced it had passed a motion in consultation with the two host First Nations on June 9th to postpone the games, citing their top priority would be the health, safety, and well-being of athletes, families, volunteers, and host communities. Tickets are going fast for the Winnipeg Folk Festival. The Folk Fest is turning 50 next weekend, and 4-day tickets are sold out. But individual and 4-day camping passes are still available. The Folk Festival is set to begin at 5 o'clock next Thursday at Birds Hill Park. Already, volunteers are getting the park ready to host thousands of music fans. This year's lineup includes Allison Russell, Ani DeFranco, Blackie and the Rodeo Kings, and Bruce Coburn, who performed at the very first Folk Festival in 1974. There are also special 50th anniversary events and exhibits. 4-day passes or camping passes, visit winnipegfolkfestival.ca. A punishing heat wave has been gripping much of Europe this week, but in Italy at the Rome Zoo, some animals were able to find a fun way to beat the heat. Brown bears, tigers, and lemurs were just some of the mammals to get the icicles packed with meat, fruit, or vegetables. But for some, it was a bit tricky to break through the ice. Here's a look now what's happening on Kenniston Boulevard. It looks like things are moving well over here. No issues to tell you about out on the streets. If you see any problems out there, though, please let us know. Time now for some entertainment news. John Travolta has starred in some massive films, including Saturday Night Fever, Pulp Fiction, and Grease. Now, the iconic actor is working on another movie, and it's being filmed right here in Winnipeg. The movie is called November 1963. It's about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In addition to Travolta, the film also stars Mandy Patinkin and Robert Carlyle, among others. It's said to be based on a true story about the mob's involvement in the killing. According to Deadline, the film is written by Nicky Salozzi, nephew of Sam Giancana, who was the boss of the Chicago outfit who allegedly sent assassins to Dealey Plaza in Dallas. The Winnipeg locations are standing in for Chicago and Dallas. Michael Madsen, one of Hollywood's most prolific actors, has died.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
Madsen is best known for his work with Quentin Tarantino in movies like Reservoir Dogs and Kill Bill. He also had memorable roles in Donnie Brasco, Species, and Free Willy. In all, Madsen had more than 300 credits over his career. His agents say they believe he had a cardiac arrest. Michael Madsen was 67 years old. Start your weekend with Celebrity Jeopardy, then dive into a double dose of Fear Thy Neighbor and finish the evening with E-Talk at 10:30, all on CTV. If you've never been to the Winnipeg Folk Festival, this is the moment you've been waiting for. We're giving away a pair of tickets for a weekend of music and good vibes on July 12th and 13th. Whether you're a music lover, a festival newbie, or just looking for the perfect weekend plan, this is your chance to be a part of one of Manitoba's most iconic summer traditions. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and enter the clue word 50. Good luck. All right, bringing in Terry now. We're going to see big heat today.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe even some storms to go with it. I mean, I was one of the ones that was woken by the thunder last night. Perhaps you were as well. And now we could still see more of that activity throughout the day today. We're looking at the moment through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. And you can see those darker clouds still lingering over the city with the threat of storms looming. I'll show you the satellite image in a second. But along with the looming storms, the lingering heat. 21 degrees is where we sit right now here in Winnipeg. Pinawa joins us there. We've got some 22s showing up in Morden, Winkler, Portage, Dauphin areas. 23 right now in Gimli. An above seasonal start for everyone. A normal low would be about 13 degrees, so most of us are well above that. And that includes northern Manitoba, well above what you would expect this time of year, with some high teens and even some low 20s in most places, the exception being Churchill, who will remain a little bit cooler, double digits expected, but just barely in Churchill, around 11 degrees with some possible precipitation. Now, along with the precipitation, which we could notice throughout the province, come the warnings. It's heat warnings or heat advisories here through southern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, but the air quality warning is back again through much of northern Manitoba. If not the air quality warning, the advisory regarding poor air quality in the most northern part. And yes, I mentioned the possibility still of seeing some lingering precipitation, and the temperatures on the rise again, pushing up into the high 20s here through the south. This is by noontime today, while northern Manitoba is reaching mid-20s by noon, pushing into the high 20s or low 30s into the south. Now, today will be the last of the extreme heat and then settling down for the weekend, closer to what is normal for this time of year before we slowly but steadily see the temperatures climb again for next week. After the rain, a beautiful double rainbow spotted in the Douglas area. Thanks to Brad for the photo. Keep them coming, please, to Winnipeg weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Terry. There are 17 days left until the deadline the Prime Minister set to reach a trade deal with the United States. And as we get closer to that July 21st date, there's a new snapshot emerging of the impact the trade war is having. CTV's Rachel Aiello breaks down the numbers and tells us about one bright spot.
Canada-U.S. trade is stuck in a tariff-induced rut, according to new numbers from Statistics Canada. Exports of Canadian goods to the United States have decreased for a fourth consecutive month, costing businesses billions.
Businesses are really kind of in suspended animation right now. And you always worry about losing a customer, even if it's just for a matter of months, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get that customer back.
This snapshot of the state of trade with Canada's largest export market comes as part of broader data that shows a more encouraging economic picture. The Canada's overall merchandise trade deficit narrowed slightly in May. Imports fell 1.6% to $66 billion, while exports were up 1.1% to nearly $61 billion. These figures bringing the trade deficit to $5.9 billion, down from April's record-setting $7.6 billion. The slight rebound is being attributed to exports of Canadian goods to other countries hitting a record high. Experts say this is a direct result of businesses and governments' efforts to diversify Canada's international trade relationships.
Exporters, Canadian companies are taking that spare capacity that the United States created or the empty space on the order books and are able to, in some cases, fill it with other markets.
Those I spoke to said with Canada working to lessen its reliance on the U.S., the worst may be in the rearview mirror. But until the two countries reach a trade deal, the road ahead will remain rocky.
Time now for this week's Adorable Adoptables. We begin with Sunny, your new ray of sunshine. This sweet senior pooch loves the outdoors and making new friends. She's playful, affectionate, and full of charm. Next up is Bruno, your personal hype pup. He's full of zoomies, loves a good game of fetch, and lives for outdoor adventures. After burning off energy, he's all cuddles and lap naps. And meet Samson, a handsome tabby with major main character energy. He's equal parts curious explorer and chill cuddle buddy. Whether he's lounging in the sun or ruling from a windowsill throne, Samson's all about charm and whiskered style. If you think you can offer any of these animals a good home, just head down to the Winnipeg Humane Society or give them a call. The number is there on your screen. Coming up, we're going to hear all about downtown community safety, the unit that's working to make that happen. Stay with us. We're talking about downtown safety this morning with Joseph Bernacki. And Joseph, you're going to join us, or you're going to have us join the brand new police chief right now. Good morning.
I certainly am, Rochelle. Yeah, good morning, Winnipeg. As Rochelle just mentioned, very pleased to be joined by Chief Gene Bowers with Winnipeg Police Service.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time this morning.
You bet. Good morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we know that you've been active on foot patrol since you've been sworn in. I understand that was very important to you. Why was it important to get out on the street early into your time as chief?
You know, I really wanted to see, what our members were facing and also what the community is facing. So I wanted to get a better sense of what was going on and have a connection with my members and with the community.
And as you alluded to, what have you heard so far from fellow officers on foot patrol, some community members, people living in the downtown? What have the past couple months been like, Chief?
It's been really refreshing. It's been very positive. The comments from the community when we walk into the businesses are overwhelmingly positive, that they appreciate our members being there. They feel safer when we're around. And our members, actually, they feel that connection to the community, something you don't get when you're going call to call sometimes, when serious things are going on. They're able to spend some time and get to know the people and understand the issues and have that, human connection, which we really need in policing and with our community.
Absolutely. And from your perspective as chief, we were talking about it earlier on the show today. I imagine the downtown's a pretty important neighborhood when it comes to safety here in the city of Winnipeg. What really stands out to you about this particular neighborhood and keeping it safe going forward?
Well, I think the key thing you said is it is a neighborhood, right? People live downtown, people work downtown, and it's a community. And, the police, we should be part of that community and understand the needs of the community. So safety is a big thing, and part of that is visibility of the police and approachability, and, knowing that we're going to respond when people need our help.
That's what you kind of alluded into my next point, too, is I imagine visibility and leadership kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's a big part. Our members are very dedicated, to this, and I want to support the members, and I want to have a safer community. I'm from Winnipeg, my family's here, and I want our downtown to be safe and a place that's vibrant and people want to come and, go to different restaurants or entertainment and feel like, they can come here and be safe.
Chief Bowers, we always appreciate having you on our show, and we'll be back continuing this conversation at 7:42 with friends from Downtown Community Safety Partnership. Stay tuned.
Sounds good. Thank you, Joseph. All right, and being downtown or outside right now, you might want to pack an umbrella if you're heading out there.
Keep them close at hand, unless you don't mind getting soaked. And honestly, on a day as hot as this, I don't think a lot of people would mind. It might be a little bit refreshing to find yourself with some showers over you, but it could be some more spectacular storms too. The risk is certainly there. 21 degrees is where we begin, though it feels like 27. That's with the humidity factored in. A breeze out of the south is light, just 11 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling, and that humidity is up there at 85%. So a hot and humid day expected with heat advisories in place. Southern Manitoba, that is all the fuchsia that you're seeing through the southeast and parts of northwestern Ontario. And then there's the purple. We remember this one. It's the smoke or the air quality warning due to the smoke through much of northern Manitoba. If it's not this straight up warning, it's a slightly downgraded advisory, the yellow that you're seeing in some of those surrounding areas. But even parts of northern Manitoba may see some precipitation today, and so too could we. That's what rolled past overnight, but still more to come. And you can see showers and even thunderstorms still firing off in areas just to the west of us. So that's what we can expect today, along with the heat. 31 degrees. It's going to be a scorcher with winds shifting, starting out of the south. They'll be coming out of the northwest later on today. But 31 degrees, you're certainly going to be feeling that. So, of course, I say take all of the necessary precautions when we deal with those peak temperatures later on today. 18 degrees is still going to be a warm one overnight, with that risk of showers or thunderstorms continuing. Slightly clearer conditions tomorrow and slightly cooler conditions tomorrow. 25 degrees is normal for this time of year. A bit more in the way of a breeze out of the north, and even cooler yet Sunday with a few extra clouds before the temperatures slowly and steadily rise again next week.
Thank you, Terry. A 29-year-old motorcyclist has died after a crash Wednesday night. It happened on Pembina Highway near McGillivray. The Winnipeg Police Service says a motorcycle was traveling south on Pembina when it collided with an SUV leaving a parking lot. The motorcyclist died from his injuries in hospital. Police are asking any witnesses, including those with dashboard cameras, to contact the Winnipeg Police Traffic Division. While the city's election isn't for another year, we know at least one current council member is planning to seek re-election. Mayor Scott Gillingham will seek a second term as mayor in the 2026 municipal election. The mayor's communications director confirmed the decision via email. Gillingham was elected in 2022, winning 27.5% of the vote among 11 candidates. Prior to that, he served as councillor for the St. James ward and was the chair of the Finance Committee. The BC RCMP is taking responsibility for an out-of-control wildfire burning north of Lytton.
It's unfortunate. We meet certain standards with the maintenance of our equipment, and at this particular point, it does appear that equipment was simply failed.
Here's what happened. Dive team officers had been at a nearby lake looking for a missing swimmer and towing their boat on a trailer. RCMP say one of the trailer's wheels flew off and landed in the ditch. The sparks from that ignited a fire in the brush that rapidly spread. The fire has grown now to 130 hectares. 7 people are missing after a massive explosion at a California fireworks warehouse.
I'm just praying to God some way, somehow, that, that they're okay.
Officials say it's still too hazardous to send in search crews. The site is now being treated as a potential crime scene. Winnipeg is welcoming young Indigenous football players this week for an interprovincial championship. The U18 Indigenous Cup got underway at Maple Grove Park on Thursday. It features tackle football players from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and for the first year, Northwestern Ontario. Football Manitoba and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hosted a camp this past spring to select the team representing our province.
So we've seen, in the province of Manitoba, we've actually seen growth in tackle football pretty consistently over the last, coming out of COVID, 20 to 30% a year. So it's a really popular sport. I tell people all the time, I think we're actually in the golden years of football in this province with the Bombers' success and with the Bison's success and our high school league thriving, our minor leagues thriving. Flag football has taken off.
Playoffs start at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. New Winnipeg Jets forward Jonathan Toews is scheduled to speak at a news conference this afternoon, 2 weeks after it was announced that he's heading home. Toews, along with Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff and head coach Scott Arniel, will be speaking to the media at 1 p.m. at Canada Life Centre. CTV News Winnipeg will live stream the event. CTV News previously reported the Winnipeg-born hockey star would be signing with the Jets for a one-year deal for the 2025-26 season. Toews, who is 37, has not played in the NHL since 2023 due to health concerns linked to long COVID and chronic immune response syndrome. Prior to the Jets, Toews played with the Chicago Blackhawks from 2007 to 2023, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the team. Sotheby's will soon auction off the original prototype of the Hermes Birkin bag. The bag was famously crafted for and worn by singer and actress Jane Birkin in 1985. Birkin had a chance meeting with the then Hermes CEO Jean-Louis Dumas on a plane where she complained about her overstuffed bag, and the rest was history. Jane Birkin's leather bag is bigger than regular Birkins and includes a non-removable strap, unlike commercial models. Here's a look now at what's happening along Donald Street. It looks like things are moving well over here. No issues to tell you about. If you see problems, though, let us know, please. And here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34, while the provincial average is at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.28. The lowest price in the city is $1.17. All this info is on GasBuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by KidneyCard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Right now we're sitting at 21 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud, but it's humid out there. We'll be back after this break.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
It's 21 degrees outside this morning, a warm start to your Friday. Feels warmer yet. We have a humidex value of 27. The winds are light out of the south, just 11 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and that humidity is up there at 85%. Hot and humid conditions expected today, perhaps even stormy at times. We had those storms pass through overnight, which for the most part are now moving through northwestern Ontario, but another round coming our way. It does look like the bulk of the angry stuff might arc just to the north of us, with just perhaps some passing showers through Winnipeg with this next round, but that doesn't mean that's the only round throughout the day today. Off and on, many places across the province could see some showers or thunderstorms today, and that includes right up into northern Manitoba, where the temps might be a little bit cooler in Churchill today, topping out at about 11 degrees, but everybody else will be feeling the heat with above seasonal temperatures, high 20s, and that potential for some showers or thunderstorms. But then there are areas in the province that are dealing with the heavy smoke once again, and air quality warnings have been reissued now through much of northern Manitoba. So just keep that in mind today. It might be a less than pleasant day spending time outdoors. Central Manitoba, a little bit cleaner and brighter, and perhaps a little bit drier, whereas other places further into the south will perhaps see that storm or shower potential. And the heat, yes, low 30s expected all through southern or at least southeastern Manitoba, when 25 degrees is normal for this time of year. In northwestern Ontario, also hot and humid, with the potential for the storms that are just now moving into your neck of the woods. Those storms, they only brought about 1 millimeter of rain to Winnipeg last night, but some areas surrounding us got up to 25 millimeters of rain, and still the possibility of more precipitation today. A little bit cooler for the coming weekend if you're not a fan of the intense heat, but it won't be long before it's back again. You can see by the middle of the week, low 30s are expected all over again.
Thank you, Terry. All right, let's go back now to Joseph Bernacki. We're talking about safety in the downtown area and many different teams that are working together to make that happen for our residents. Good morning, Joseph.
We have a whole bunch, Rochelle. Yes, good morning, and good morning, Winnipeg. I'm joined by two members here from two different organizations promoting the safety and well-being of members downtown. Very pleased to be joined by Matt Halchacker to my right. He's the Director of Operations from Downtown Community Safety Partnership, and Joshua Nipanak. He is the founder of Weeji Shin Juweeji Nan. Gentlemen, great to have you both on the show this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, so Matt, talk to us a little bit about, the province gave you guys funding, DCSP, for your safety action plan. What is that looking for this summer?
Yeah, so so it's called our Summer Action Plan. So the funding came through the province of Manitoba, the city of Winnipeg, and the downtown Winnipeg Biz. So essentially what it is, it gives us the ability to partner with community organizations to provide further presence. So it's going to look about 12 extra staff through community organizations, through DCSP, on the streets during the whole summer. So,
and one of those organizations is Joshua's to my left here. I had a chance to do a story with you just before December last year. Tell us a little bit about Weeji Shin Juweeji Nan, the community walks you guys do, your work from Portage Place and spanning out into the downtown. And tell us a little bit about who you guys are.
We're a nonprofit organization that is just there to fill the needs of our relatives downtown. Like you said, we do a community walk. We're doing safety community work in Portage Place, and now we're doing this SAP program in partnership with DCSP.
What does it mean to have that collaboration, Josh, with Matt and the team at DCSP?
Well, this collaboration is really meaningful because a lot of our guys who are out there doing the SAP program are First Nations, and so it's a lot of First Nations people working with our First Nations relatives.
How important is it to have that First Nations and Indigenous representation through the work that you guys do?
I think it's like it breaks down a barrier because you see your own people trying to help you, and with that emphasis, it just creates goodness and allows for good work to be done between people.
And Matt, I imagine pretty good to have Josh and his team is helping you guys as well?
Oh, 100%. The unique backgrounds and the personalities and everything that they bring to the table is just going to bring further support and immense help to the community.
Appreciate the work that both of you guys do in helping keep downtown safe. We'll be back in the 8 o'clock hour continuing these conversations. Stay tuned for more downtown safety at 8:06.
Thank you, Joseph. Health Canada wants to help us make healthier choices. Some ingredient labels will be moving from the back of the package to the front. CTV's Jonathan McInnes reports.
Some nutritional information is migrating from the back of food packaging to the front.
No manufacturers want this these labels on their package, so they're reformulating, and we're likely going to have access to healthier products moving forward.
The labeling is a directive from Health Canada.
We know it's highlighting sodium, sugars, and saturated fat, which is really important for the consumer to know because it increases our risk of chronic disease.
Front of the package labeling is needed if the product exceeds 15% of the recommended daily intake of those ingredients. Potential health risks include stroke, obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and some types of cancer. The hope is the labels will help consumers make quick and informed choices when grocery shopping and support health officials in educating people about foods high in sodium, sugars, and saturated fat.
But it might make me think a little bit and maybe learn something different about what's in our food.
That's perfect, according to dietitian Lori Barker-Jackman, who says avoiding labeled foods isn't reasonable or necessary.
It's okay to choose foods that have a front of package label sometimes. It's making sure we don't choose foods that are high in sodium, sugars, or saturated fat all of the time.
For Sylvain Charlebois, the labeling program is a positive one. Still, he has concerns.
If you are reducing the amount of sodium, sugar, or fat, are you replacing that with something else that may not be desirable?
The labels are mandatory for prepackaged foods, with some exceptions like plain milk, plain yogurt, and cheese because they contain calcium. Food manufacturers have until January 1st of next year to fully implement the labeling system. Jonathan McGinnis, CTV News, Halifax.
Hello there, Kara Wagland inside the TSN Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Thursday. And for it, we take you to the All-England club. Yannick Sinner taking on Alexander Vukic. Sinner facing a break point in the third. Vukic, great backhand. But then the response from Sinner is just unbelievable. Saves the break point, sliding across the grass with almost no room for error. The world number one would win the match 2 points later as he continues his quest for a first Wimbledon title. It's amazing, and it's your must-see moment from Thursday. Coming up tonight on TSN, we have a little Friday Night Football for you. Ticats taking on the Toronto Argonauts. Pre-game goes at 6 p.m. Central Time. That's all for now from Sports Center. Have a great day.
TSN Must See Moments brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, your Hunter Douglas shade provider for over 40 years. CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Same-day oil and tire changes.
Well, I stepped outside and noticed some fresh drops on the railing and realized it's raining again very, very softly. Not enough to even warrant an umbrella. But you might want one later today, especially if we see this activity increasing, and we very likely could, with showers or thunderstorms possible across the entire province. It's still mild, muggy too. 21 degrees right now with south winds, 11 clicks, the pressure falling, and the humidity sitting at 85%, making it feel more like 27. Hot, humid conditions expected across southern Manitoba, with the southeast and northwestern Ontario included in heat warnings that have been issued by Environment Canada. But it's smoke that continues to be an issue through parts of central and northern Manitoba, with the air quality warnings back again, if not warnings, then advisories throughout the far north. But showers or thunderstorms are possible throughout the day today, and then a little bit of a cool down once we're looking into the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, back to seasonal for the mercury source again.
Cancer treatments are getting better and more patients are surviving their cancer diagnosis, but some people may have long-term physical pain, discomfort, or other side effects from treatment that can last well after their cancer battles. Some patients use physical rehabilitation to help, but not all patients have access to physio. A new study is looking at whether physiotherapy can help in all types of cancer. Joining us now is the study lead and physiotherapist, Denise Dreikluft. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. So right now, when a patient has cancer, some will get physiotherapy. What would they be getting physiotherapy for?
Well, there are a lot of side effects that can happen from treatment, and cancer treatment is quite varied person to person, cancer type to cancer type. But we do know that fatigue is one of the major side effects for people that can be lasting years after completion of treatment. Some people can lose range of motion, strength, balance. They can have peripheral neuropathy, pain, changes to nervous system, function, quality of life. So there's a huge wide array of side effects that can occur from treatment. Right now, there is some limited access to physio. It's not a lot. There's lots of barriers to physio. There's not even a lot of services available.
Right. It's not cheap either.
No, some people are fortunate to have insurance that can cover it, but not everybody has that luxury of having insurance, and otherwise it can be out of pocket. Like I said, there is some services, but I think right now it's just scratching the surface. There still remains a lot of unmet needs.
So people fight cancer, they're successful, they do really well, but they're not feeling great, and that is sort of placing a barrier on their ability to move on from that.
Yes, so oftentimes people struggle to get back to work, get back to school, get back to sports or other activities that they used to do prior to their cancer diagnosis and treatment. And it is an area that nobody really talks about a lot. People go through the treatment, and then the expectation is once they're done, they can just go back to life, but it's very often not that case. I just read an article this morning on Kate Middleton, who just released a statement yesterday saying after she's finished her treatment, she's struggling to get back to her normal level of function. And it is such a common struggle that people have. Yeah. And I think just the awareness is not there.
So your study, you started it just recently, and you are looking for people who are either just newly diagnosed or have recovered, and you want to find out how they're doing and what physiotherapy could do in their lives, right?
Correct. What we're trying to do is identify what unmet needs there are out there, and what barriers might be existing in preventing people from accessing physio, be it financial, be it awareness, lack of knowing that this is even an option, lack of services available. There's a huge list of barriers, and there's not been any studies done in Manitoba. So we're trying to get that information from this study.
So if you want to be part of this study, you can certainly find more information on our website. We have a link there. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
All right, here's what's happening outside right now on Teche Avenue. Things are moving quite well over here. It's a gorgeous start to your Friday. We'll be back after this. It's time for Let's Celebrate. Let's see who's having a celebration today. Happy 17th birthday, Owen, with love from G-Ma, Grandpa, Mom, Dad, Jacob, and Foxy. Happy 2nd birthday to Kaya, love from Mama, Jacqueline, Mom, Nikita, and your beau, Nisha. Happy 11th birthday to twins Clara and Claire, love from your sisters Callie, Kira, and Promise, niece Avery, Averia, Grandpa, and Kukum. Happy 7th birthday to Aaliyah. Lots of love from Mom, Dad, and your family. Happy birthday, Auntie Sylvia. Love from family and friends. Happy 8th birthday, Loic. Love Mom, Dad, and Logan. Happy birthday, Vaughn, from Mom Stella, Angel, T, and Big Girl Woodhouse. Happy 21st birthday, Magna. Love from Mom, Dad, Brother Bosco, Auntie Sandy, and Devin. Congratulations, Cody, on your grade 12 graduation from your family and friends. And a happy birthday, Mama Bernice, with love from the whole family. If someone you care about is having a birthday, anniversary, retirement, or graduation, let's celebrate. To submit your celebration, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Let's Celebrate, brought to you by Party Stuff, 3 Winnipeg locations and at partystuff.ca.
Good morning. It is 8 o'clock. o'clock on your Friday morning. Thank you so much for staying with us here on CTV Morning Live. Coming up at 8:15, we're going to tell you about a cultural market that will be here tomorrow. It is called the Naija Market Day. We'll tell you more about that. And then at 8:45, if you're looking to refresh your wardrobe for the summer, we're going to give you some ideas on how to be professional, cool, and light, but also perfect for the workplace. But first, your headlines. Dangerous pace. A spike in road deaths has authorities reminding drivers to stay engaged behind the wheel. Wildfires threaten again. Which community is telling members it's time to make another 10-hour drive to safety? And cool ride. This Nova Scotia entrepreneur is living her dream by putting ice cream on wheels. Loving that idea. You're going to need some ice cream to cool off today, Terry.
I don't even think I'd sell it. I'd just ride in every couple of kilometers. Who am I kidding? Every couple of blocks.
You're burning the calories on your way there. It's perfect.
On a day like today, you're right. A little cool treat would be in order. It is hot. It is humid. It could be soggy. I noticed some showers just as I was on the rooftop. I mean, the rain's so light, I didn't need an umbrella, but we could see that activity increasing throughout the day today. It's 21 degrees, but it feels like 27 with winds out of the south, 11 kilometers per hour. The pressure falling and that humidity sitting at 85%. A few extra clouds lingering, but it's really only the heat and the potential storms that'll be an issue here in the south. That's the fuchsia that you're seeing on our warnings map. The heat advisory in effect through the southeast and northwestern Ontario. Smoke, that's going to be an issue through much of central, northern, and the far north. The air quality will be the worst in the purple area where it's a straight up warning, but air quality advisories or statements in the yellow areas where it's still not ideal. Storm activity. Perhaps you were woken by the thunder last night. That's that initial storm, which has now moved off to the east of us. But another one, and this is the shower activity that I was talking about on the rooftop. Not enough to warrant an umbrella, but you can see it is a little more active right around Portage La Prairie or in areas just to the north and to the west of us right now, with the possibility of it still rolling through, and not just here in the south, across the entire province. Showers, maybe some thunderstorms expected for today. A little bit clearer, a little bit brighter for tomorrow, a little bit cooler too. In fact, we're getting a break from the heat, which will still be intense today. 31 degrees expected, 25 is normal. Back to those more seasonal temperatures for the weekend and just into the start of next week before it begins to heat up again. Our art today, thanks to Julianne, 3 years old, for this incredible piece, and we would love to see your artwork as well. So draw, color, paint, take a picture of that and email us to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thank you, Terry. People living in Lynn Lake are being told they need to leave again because of fire. The mandatory evacuation order begins today, but officials haven't given a specific time. In a social media post Thursday night, the town says wildfires are threatening some hydro lines and highways, which could make travel more complicated. Water treatment and emergency services will also be affected by this evacuation. Officials are also asking people who are able to leave home on their own to do it ASAP and head to Brandon, which is about a 10-hour drive south. Right now, there are 60 wildfires burning in Manitoba. 17 of those are out of control. It's been a particularly deadly year on provincial roads as fatality numbers are up over the first 6 months of the year compared to previous years. And experts say there are several contributing factors. RCMP say the number of highway traffic fatalities usually goes up during the summer. There are more vehicles on the road driving to cottage country and campgrounds. And because roads are clear and dry, drivers tend to be more complacent and take more risks to get where they're going faster.
There's lack of patience behind the wheel. No matter if in Winnipeg and construction zones, out on the highways, there's just that much more traffic now. As the population of Manitoba grows, there's just more vehicles out there, so people need to be cognizant that chances are you're going to come across slower traffic or a construction zone that's going to slow you down, so you just take your time.
Numbers from RCMP show more people have died on Manitoba highways this year from last, 34 to date compared to 23 in 2024. The grim statistic is also above the 5-year average of 30. Mounties say with summer comes more vehicles on the highway, so drivers need to pay attention, slow down, and drive responsibly. A Montreal mother accused of abandoning her 3-year-old child last month is now facing an additional charge of causing bodily harm by criminal negligence. The 34-year-old woman was arrested on June 16th, a day after reporting her daughter missing and triggering a massive police search. The child was found alive 2 days later on the side of a highway near St. Albert, Ontario, which is about 150 kilometers from the family home in Montreal. The mother has also been charged with child abandonment. The head of General Motors Canada says the auto industry needs to stay nimble during the ongoing U.S. trade war.
We have to remain agile and ready to respond to whatever eventuates here.
The head of GM Canada was one of the auto industry leaders who met with Prime Minister Mark Carney this week. He didn't share details about what they talked about, but he did say there is a sense of optimism with trade talks happening between Canada and the U.S. Auto sales have not been hit hard, even with the uncertainty over trade. But dealers do say they're worried about the supply chain being able to keep up with demand for new cars. This Nova Scotia woman is living her ice cream dream.
Girl, I kind of always just wanted to have an ice cream truck.
Jessica has refurbished an old Dickie D bike, making it her own. She now runs shore peddling, selling ice cream along the province's eastern shore. She gets a lot of compliments about the retro look and feel. Talk about a sweet ride, right? Here's a look now at what's going on Pembina Highway. Things appear to be moving quite well over here. No issues to tell you about at this point. If you do see any problems out on the streets, though, please let us know.
CTV Morning Live Traffic brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. No appointment needed.
Let's go back now to Joseph Bernacki. We're talking about community safety in the downtown area and the many groups helping and working together to make this happen. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Rochelle. And yeah, to your point, we're getting a chance to talk to some of the individual teams that work with Downtown Community Safety Partnership. I'm very pleased to be joined by Barb Beardy. She is the team member with the Indigenous Women's Support Team within DCSP. Appreciate your time this morning, Barb.
Good morning.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit this morning. When it comes to downtown safety, why is Indigenous-led representation and cultural, that aspect, approach important for outreach?
I think the majority of our people, our community members, are Indigenous, and they're Indigenous women that fall through the cracks and that need help to get out. I believe that our team helps them get out of it.
And this is a new team within Downtown Community Safety Partnership. How does your work differentiate a little bit from what the rest of DCSP does?
We specifically work with Indigenous women, self-identifying First Nation women, and Two-Spirited.
And you're a new team member to be, being a part of this team. What's it like? What do you love the most about what you get to do?
The best part of it is meeting people where they're at. It's the best part. And working through them until they're ready to move on to the next stage of their life or their success story.
And how have you found the last couple of months have gone so far?
Great. We've got new good team members that actually love to do what we do. They meet people where they're at. I can't find a word for it, but we just meet them where they're at, and we're all very passionate about our women, and we believe that everybody needs someone to look up to or to be there for them.
And it's important to love what you do.
Yes, I love it very much.
Well, we appreciate having you on our show this morning, Barb. We're going to have one more conversation coming up at 8:38 with Winnipeg Police Service, talking more about the foot patrols and keeping the downtown safe. Stay tuned.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Finding good, credible health resources online can be challenging, especially if English is not your first language. CTV's Pauline Chan highlights a Canadian website that offers reliable information in numerous languages.
It started as a COVID project, helping the Punjabi community find reliable health information for their families.
It became clear as the pandemic was rolling out and vaccines were rolling out that we really needed to think about how to communicate effectively with diverse communities, not just in terms of translating information, but also understanding, what their priorities were.
Dr. Rupadaman Minhas is a developmental pediatrician with St. Michael's Hospital, and his project has now grown into Our Kids Health Network.
The beauty of social media really is that you create something that really can spread very quickly.
There are now 10 language groups, including Arabic, Cantonese, Tamil, and even Inuit. Information ranges from measles or ADHD to more mundane questions.
Things that you wouldn't necessarily make an appointment to go see your healthcare provider on, but is good to know, like how to stop a nosebleed, how to trim a newborn's fingernails.
There's even a category for dads. Irina Dovoretska, a pediatrician in her native Ukraine, is responsible for the Ukrainian Kids Health chapter, and she says the work goes beyond just translation.
We not only translate the language, but also delivering the healthcare topics in a simpler language that is more understandable for families.
Registered behavioral analyst Althea Frank Esho says culturally sensitive presentations also create trust, especially for new immigrants and those for whom English is not a first language.
You can understand it easier, and I think you're more likely also to believe it if it's coming to you in your language, if there are examples that you can relate to, maybe the people even look like you.
The videos, created by some 75 experts from various health fields and in different languages, are available on Facebook and Instagram. And Our Kids Health Network is launching a Black Francophone group as well as additional Indigenous language groups in the near future. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
All right, a little bit of light shower activity, very, very light right now as we take a look through the Bathfitter Live. Hi, Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. A few pockets of sunshine here or there, but we're just starting to notice some darker clouds rolling in again. Temperatures, though, they are on the rise. Well, actually, technically, we're on the fall. We fell off a degree from last hour, but to be sitting at 20 this time of morning, that's still well above seasonal. And you can really notice that humidity out there, making it feel a lot warmer than the 20 degrees. In fact, our humidex value is more like 27 right now. So you're certainly going to notice almost that wall of water or even some light precipitation as you step outside this morning. All of southern Manitoba is into the low 20s, save Roblin, who's sitting at 19 degrees right now, and even northern Manitoba, high teens, low 20s. The exception is Churchill, who will be in for a cooler day today, topping out at about 11 degrees, but still some storms expected. Many places will see some precipitation, but on top of that, the air quality map is lit up with the smoky conditions. That's the purple that you're seeing, or the yellow is the air quality advisory. Now, it's not the smoke, it's the heat and the humidity here in the south, with the heat advisory for southeastern Manitoba and into northwestern Ontario. Storms, yes, we've been watching them rolling through and could still see a little more precipitation. In fact, across the province, the risk is there of showers or thunderstorms today. But the temperatures, yes, they're going to keep rising into mid-20s or high 20s by midday, and then low 30s by this afternoon, or northern Manitoba, mid-20s for you, but everybody can expect above seasonal temps today. Back to normal tomorrow, 25 degrees is seasonal, and slightly cooler as we wrap the weekend and kick things off next week, only to see and feel the temperatures. They'll be on the rise again next week. Taking a break right now. We'll be back in a moment with more CTV Morning Live.
Good morning, it's 8:15. A BC woman swam across the English Channel with her late father for inspiration. CTV's Carla Shinkarek reports.
Erin Bowers just completed one of the ultimate swimming challenges in the world.
I swam across the English Channel. I swam from near Dover to Wissant, which is on the French Opal coast. It was a swim that took me 16 hours and 33 minutes.
She's originally from Saskatoon, now living in BC, and had hoped to set out to complete the challenge in September for her 50th birthday, but it was called off because of bad conditions. So she set out again on June 30th.
It's a really mythical sort of swim, the pinnacle of the sport. And it's always, since I was a kid, it's always held a lot of interest for me.
Bowers' last name might sound familiar to some in Saskatoon, as her dad was Kelly Bowers, who passed away in 2019. He was an inspirational teacher and coach in the community. It was his wise words that kept her going during the approximately 40-kilometer swim.
He had two sayings that he used to say to me all the time, and everyone will probably have heard these before. And the first one was, keep plugging. So you just keep going, keep plugging. And then the second one is, you got to be tough. That was the main one that I sort of repeat over in my head. You've got to be tough.
She admits she thought about giving up after intense jellyfish stings on her face and arms and general fatigue, but she persevered.
When I was getting closer to France, that's where the tide really kicked in. And so I was sort of swimming in place for what felt like a really long time, and had to still keep up my stroke rate so that I'd eventually kind of push past it.
She raised money with a GoFundMe page. So far, she's a bit short of her goal of $10,000. Money is going to jumpstart a charity close to her dad's heart.
Is because it was really important to my dad that all kids would have access to do the sports and activities that they love without any financial barriers.
And she doesn't rule out doing this swim again.
It was a really good experience. I don't actually feel that bad. I just have a bit of like salt tongue.
Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
That was a clip from Rhythms of the Land, a documentary you'll be able to see right here on CTV. To find out more about it, Georgina Liberty joins me this morning, the director of the Office of Commission of Indigenous Languages.
Yes.
So, Georgina, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Terry. It's nice to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about this documentary and what people can expect from it.
Sure. Well, we went across country, coast to coast to coast. We have 16 performers, and there's something for everyone. It's completely in Indigenous languages, which is what we were promoting, what the Office of the Commissioner of Indigenous Languages is to promote and revitalize, reclaim.
Yeah. What made you want to do that?
Well, we wanted to find a new way for people to experience Indigenous languages. And music is universal, right? And it connects us all. And we wanted to showcase the fact that we are connected to our lands through music. And whenever you're harvesting or hunting or whatever, there's always something connecting us. And music is one of those areas.
Absolutely. I feel like music is something that really brings us together. And for a lot of viewers, they're going to be hearing it in languages that they might not be familiar with, which is something that your office is kind of working to revitalize, as you mentioned.
Right, yeah, revitalizing, supporting communities in their efforts as well, because a lot of communities are doing a lot of work in Indigenous languages, not necessarily through music, but trying to revitalize it, right? And so we are supporting that. And this is a beautiful way for all Canadians to be involved. So we're hoping that on July the 12th, when it's aired, that families get together and just watch a show, you know, like you're watching a movie, and come together and get a little understanding, hopefully, of what how Indigenous peoples are connected to this country, to the land, to the music, and just open your hearts and open your ears and just have a really good time. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned July 12th, a 1-hour documentary, so nice, easy to gather the family around to enjoy. And you talked a little bit about what you were hoping viewers to take away. What kind of experience or feeling would you like them to?
Well, you know what? Again, if you're just open-minded, right, and you are listening, like, I mean, take in the beauty, because this is all about Canada. This is the lands of Canada, right? And we go through all 4 seasons. We go through spring, I mean, like bitter cold, but still our artists wanted to perform. And the other nice thing about it was that when we started speaking with all the artists, we asked them, where do you want to record? And even if they lived in Montreal or Toronto and used to studios, we didn't want a studio production. We wanted people out on the land, and they all chose their traditional lands where they either were born, grew up, whatever, and wanted to go back to. So it's not only about the music, it's about the country of Canada, the lands that they chose.
I love that. What an organic approach to bringing that music to the viewers. What can we as individuals do to help revitalize these languages?
Well, I think people just need to be open-minded. Take it, you know, if you want to learn something, go and learn about it, right? Like, do some research, pay attention, like I said, to the video, and then if there's some language that you really want or have an interest in, go and learn about it and talk to elders, talk to, you know, Indigenous peoples that you know, or if you don't know them, you know, connect. It's really about how you do it.
Thank you so much for coming, sharing this with us. You'll be able to find it here July 12th on CTV, Rhythms of the Land. Check it out. Okay, it's still raining out here, but so very lightly that I brought the umbrella out just in case, but I'm not even going to use it. I mean, I could, but then you're just going to see how windy it is. She says there's like no wind. Good one, Terry. Anyway, it is breezy out here this morning, and we know these umbrellas are flimsy. Anyway, it's warm enough that that little bit of precipitation, you're not going to be mad about it. Unless, of course, it picks up. Oh, it's picking up. Okay, let me get that umbrella out again. All right. Oh, the wind is picking up now. I'm noticing that now, too. Thank you. Right on cue. Well, almost. Anyway, 20 degrees right now. North winds, 13 clicks. The pressure rising. Humidity sitting at 89%. It is hot. It is humid. We have heat advisories in place all through southeastern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, and the threat of storms is still there. And then it's the smoke through much of central and northern Manitoba with air quality warnings back in place. If you're not under the air quality warning, it's an advisory. The smoke will continue to be an issue across northern Manitoba. Whew. I'm going to take flight right away. Yes, the winds could be increasing and shifting slightly today, but the heat, you're going to be feeling it as the mercury climbs to a hot high of 31 degrees. Beautiful shot of the double rainbows out of the Douglas area. Thanks to Brad for the photo. And keep the pictures coming, please, to Winnipeg weather at ctv.ca.
CTV Morning Live Weather is brought to you by Destination Dinner Stage, Manitoba's only musical dinner theater.
It's that time of year, Manitoba, and CTV and Chicken Chef want you to show off how you're soaking up the season, from campfires and concerts to golf days and getaways. Whatever makes your summer magical, we want to see it. Last year's moments were amazing, and now it's your turn to shine. Show us your sunshine for a chance to win the $5,000 grand prize plus daily $50 Chicken Chef gift card giveaways. And that's not all. You could also snag an Kona Aruba stand-up paddleboard from Wilderness Supply. So grab your phone, capture those moments, and share your summer with us today.
Canada's benchmark stock index, the S&P TSX Composite, finished at more than 27,000 points for the first time ever yesterday, closing at 27,034 points. It's now up more than 9% so far in 2025. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks posted big gains yesterday, but U.S. stock markets will be closed today for the July 4th holiday. A senior Wall Street strategist says the red-hot rally in U.S. stocks investors have enjoyed since early April is now at the point where investors should consider selling some of their stocks. Michael Hartnett of Bank of America said he would consider the S&P 500 index at 6,300 points to be a sell signal. The index closed within a fraction of a percentage point of that level yesterday. Hartnett said risks of a U.S. stock market bubble are rising. Finally, shares of Cargojet, the Mississauga-based air shipper, rose by more than 4% yesterday. The company announced an extension of its deal to ship packages for Amazon Canada. That new deal runs to the end of March 2029. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
The Winnipeg Sea Bears season continues, and we want you to be a part of the action. The Sea Bears will hit the court against the Calgary Surge on July 17th. So if you want to be in the stands, we've got the contest for you. CTV Morning Live is giving away a family pack of 4 tickets to give away to the game. Head over to our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and hit our contest page for all the entry details. Don't miss your shot.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
Good morning. A traveling African market is making its way back to Winnipeg. It's called Niger Market Day, and it celebrates African culture with food, music, fashion, and art. It's all about celebrating multiculturalism in Canada as well as here in Manitoba. Joining us now from the Niger Market Day team is Abiodun Adetu and Olu Fagate. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
This is exciting because this is the second time you're coming to Winnipeg. Last year was your first market.
Oh, yes.
Tell us what it's all about. What's happening there?
Okay, so Niger Market Day, although it has the name Niger, which kind of means Nigeria, well, our markets across Africa is basically the same thing, you know, from food to culture to clothing to wares to entertainment, you know, it's all rounder, like we call it. So we'll be having the market at the Fox this year. We started in Winnipeg, and we've been to like 5 different cities already. And Winnipeg, we are back home.
That is amazing. So this is your second time in Winnipeg?
Oh, yes.
How has it been received in other markets?
It's been absolutely phenomenal. We started with Brampton this year. The mayor and the city received us, and it was absolutely beautiful. And we had loads of food, we had fashion, we had, you know, cultural exchange. Because again, at the Niger Market Day, typical to our markets in Nigeria, you see different cultures. So you could see Chinese, you could see Indians. It's an wholesale market. So when you come in, you know, it's wholesale, you get loads of deals. good music, good food. Like we were saying to the mayor yesterday, come hungry if you're coming.
Oh, nice.
And you'll have a lot to eat and drink and merry. And it's a family-oriented event, so everybody's welcome to attend.
It's really great because you brought your purse here. This is just an example of an item you could purchase at the vendor.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about this bag because it's super cool and unique, isn't
Yes,
it?
it's very pretty. It's made from raftan. This will last years and years to come.
It's very sturdy.
Yeah, and it's very sturdy, very pretty, and you know, it's cheeky as well, good for the summer and all weather. You get this and loads of other things, you know, like my bracelets as well. You get stuff like this.
Oh my gosh, what is that made of?
I'm
Look at
not
how
exactly.
pretty
It's
that is.
like cow shells.
Those are
Cowries,
gorgeous.
yeah, they're really pretty. Earrings, you know, you can get to braid your hair right there at the market.
Okay.
If you need a new haircut, you can have that too at the market. Food trucks will be at the market. We have bouncy for kids. Loads of several things. We have over 100 vendors at the market.
100 vendors.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to know about this experience and why they should check it out for themselves?
Okay, so like I say, we have several markets in Winnipeg and all around Canada, and they're so awesome. I go to a lot of them. But one of the things that started Niger Market Day is that we thought about it that in our local markets, you can bargain for price. So someone tells you something is $100, you're like, no, I want to pay $10. And you guys can haggle about the price, you know. At the market is where communities come together. So we are kind of like exchanging culture with the larger Canadian audience when we come to Niger Market Day.
Yeah.
And again, you're not just feeling African vendors, you're vendors that cuts across all spheres of life at the market as well.
Lou, we're almost out of time. Anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, so when you come to the market, there's a free voucher for you to shop anything, right? The company I work for is already, you know, put that in place to allow people buy anything they want to buy from the market. So,
what happens at the market is it's called shop money. So you get a $30 voucher, and you can shop with any of the vendors for free.
That is amazing.
Or maybe you want to pay for some of your parking. You can use that as well.
That's
from
great.
The vendor. Yeah.
So this is happening at the Forks from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's free. Everyone is welcome to attend. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you for having us.
Very much.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun, and who doesn't love a deal? All right, we're waking up to some hot temperatures this morning. A warm, muggy start to your day, 20 degrees, though it feels like 27 with the very light rain falling currently in Winnipeg. North winds 13 kilometers per hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity sitting at 89%. Hot and humid, enough so that heat advisories have been issued through much of southeastern Manitoba and parts of northwestern Ontario. And then, of course, the purple, you remember this one, due to the smoke, the air quality warnings in place. If it's not a warning, it's just a slightly downgraded advisory. That's the yellow that you're seeing across that most northern border or through parts of Saskatchewan, further off to the east of us. Those are the thunderstorm watches and warnings. No surprise. Look how angry this is. That's what rolled through our neck of the woods overnight. Winnipeg only got about a millimeter of rain, but up to 25 millimeters fell in some areas surrounding us. Southern Manitoba really did get a soaking in some places, and we still could get another soaking today. We're dealing with some brief showers, but you can see it's still a little bit more active. Here we go. Here's real time, and there you can see right around Portage-La Prairie, some showers and thunderstorms are currently making themselves known. 31 degrees. It's going to be hot today with that chance of showers or thunderstorms continuing. North winds today at times to 20 kilometers per hour. It'll remain out of the north overnight as we drop down to 18 degrees. That'll be an above seasonal low temperature, so hot for the next day or night. And then tomorrow returning to seasonal, 25 degrees normal for this time of year. Should see some sunshine again and a bit more of a breeze out of the north at about 30 clicks, staying cool till about Monday, and then the temperatures begin to heat up again.
Thank you, Terry. Some people living in the West End say they fear their neighborhood will become a banking desert after another closure.
Banks should be the pillar of a community. They have an obligation to the community. People say they're just a business, and they are. But when a bank is making $16 billion in a year, they can afford areas like this.
The Royal Bank of Canada at the corner of Sherbrooke Street and Sargent Avenue is set to close July 11th. Protest organizers say it's the last remaining bank in an area. They say it leaves thousands of West End residents without a bank they can walk to, forcing them to travel by bus, Uber, or taxi to the next closest location. They say the closure affects seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income residents. Residents were asked to sign a petition to go to Canada's Minister of Finance, urging the federal government to intervene.
It supports all the folks in our neighborhood who really banking in person is the way they meet their financial needs. So the loss of this bank is going to have a huge impact on the community as a whole. And so I'm hoping that RBC listens to the voices of Union Station and reverses their decision.
The RBC closure follows earlier departures by BMO and other financial institutions. In a statement to CTV News, RBC says the branch is merging with the Ellis Avenue at Empress Street location. It says staff will work one-on-one with any clients who need support during the transition. The town of Neepawa is going to see some improvements to its main street. The provincial government has announced almost $5 million in upgrades to Highway 16, the Yellowhead Highway. The aim is to improve access to the newly expanded health center and to develop an improved road network connecting to a new daycare, school, and the industrial park. In a news release, the province says the upgrades are needed to keep up with the town's growth. The project is being done in 2 phases: Manitoba Growth, Renewal, and Opportunities Program. Construction of the health center access is expected to be complete by this fall. Quebec restaurants will soon be able to charge $10 per person if you don't show up for your reservation.
The restaurateur has found the staff, cooked the food, ordered the liquor, changed his floor plan to accommodate the group of 10.
Industry data finds no-shows cost restaurants an average of $49,000 a year. Reservations of 2 or more people will now require a credit card. No money will be withheld in advance, but if a group doesn't show up, you will be charged $10 per person. If some of you show up, but not all, there's no fee. This new law kicks in July 17th. Beachgoers were caught off guard by what was prowling the waters on Canada's east coast. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth with a reality check on what was, for a time, a maritime mystery.
Wednesday morning was a hot, lazy day at the beach when Grant Wilkinson spotted a huge fin in the water.
It would come out of the water approximately 2 feet.
It's pretty big.
Pretty big.
Everyone thought it was a shark, which was borderline terrifying.
It's getting more common now than it ever was.
So the beach was quickly declared off limits.
Lifeguards came and kind of asked everyone to get off the water and stay out of the water for a while.
Standard procedure when it comes to sharks possibly swimming alongside humans.
We close the beach for a couple of hours, keep an eye on it, and then if we see nothing else, we reopen the beach.
Run-ins with oversized fish are nothing new in these parts. Nicole Elizabeth was fishing near Queensland when she saw this.
Wow. It's huge.
But apparently not a shark.
Sure enough, it's this large sunfish just kind of having a leisurely swim, as I understand they do, near the surface.
Experts aren't sure if the fin spotted at Queensland was a shark. Neil Hammerschlag says now is a good time to remind people shark fears are slightly overstated.
And sharks help control and keep balance in the oceans and keep it healthy, so that's a good thing. But sharks generally don't want to have anything to do with people.
According to the Nova Scotia Lifeguard Service, last year there were as many as 4 reported fin sightings, and this was the first one of 2025. In the off chance anyone encounters a real shark at the beach, there are 3 basic tips to keep in mind.
Swim in supervised areas, stay safe, listen to the lifeguards.
It's always a good idea to play it safe, especially during shark season. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Queensland, Nova Scotia.
Here's a look now what's happening on St. Mary's Road. Traffic volumes have picked up over here, as you could see, but overall moving quite well. No issues to tell you about. Let's look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.34. The provincial average is lower at $1.30. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.28. The lowest price in Winnipeg is $1.17. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Let's check in now on our question of the day. We want to know what's one clothing item you live in all summer long. Eve and Helen say that they live in shorts and tank tops, t-shirts. Hubby lives in t-shirts and light sweatpants. Ryan says my Willie Nelson t-shirt. It's thin and loose and comfy, goes good with my straw cowboy hat. Fernando says t-shirts and shorts. Cheryl says I live in summer dresses from spring to fall. Thanks for your responses. Let's go now to Joseph Bernacki, who's out on the streets showing us all about the important work being done to ensure that we feel safe in the downtown area. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Rochelle, and good morning, Winnipeg. Yeah, it's been a great morning with WPS and DCSP. Very pleased for this final segment this morning to be joined by Sergeant Shane Wepbrook of Downtown Foot Patrol and WPS. Of course, thank you for your service and your time.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah, so we've had some really important conversations, even regarding foot patrols in the downtown area. Shane, talk to us a little bit about what your day in, day out looks like here, and why these patrols are so important for downtown safety.
Yeah, most definitely. So foot patrol is exactly that. It is walking on foot within the downtown area. That is our primary mandate in having that visible presence and having a friendly face for people that are frequenting downtown for either work or for pleasure. Now, obviously, enforcement is a huge part of what we do as police, but an equally huge role is the community engagement piece, and that's engaging with all members of the community, whether it is business owners or people just coming down again for pleasure or for business. We also engage with different members within the community, and we do unfortunately see people that are struggling, and through collaboration we want to be there to help those folks by collaborating with other partners and getting them access to the resources they so desperately need.
And it could even be a simple example as, you know, your colleague helped a woman find the skywalk. She was looking for the right entrance. Even things like that, just getting out in the community. That's right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're there for. We get approached all the time when we're walking through the downtown, and it could be simple little things like, how do I catch a bus? Where do I catch the bus to go to this particular area of the city? Or it could be somebody witnessing a crime in progress, and that's when we can engage with our other resources to assist in that as well.
You guys logged a pretty significant number of hours from 2024. Give me that stat you were mentioning before we were live on how important these patrols are.
Yeah, it's absolutely vital. So last year in 2024, our Foot Patrol members spent approximately 9,600 hours in the Foot Patrol area. In addition to that, we also attended 281 special events, which is also a large part of our mandate. We will be there to ensure that the people that are coming downtown have a safe and enjoyable evening.
And give me a quick word before we wrap up. Tell me one of those tips for crime prevention if you're out and about downtown.
Most definitely. So people, when you're traveling downtown, my first tip would be when you're parking to keep all valuables out of sight, but equally as important, when you're traveling from your vehicle to whatever venue that might be situationally aware. Unfortunately, we see a lot of people with their heads buried in their phones, and the crimes that we're seeing are crimes of opportunity. So just keep your head up and be aware of your surroundings, and if you need help, flag one of us down.
Sergeant Wepbrook, thank you so much for your time this morning. Again, wrapping up our conversations on downtown safety. We'll have more information on a link on our website.
Thank you, Joseph. All right, let's go out to the rooftop now. The umbrella's away for now.
Yes, and I mean, last time round I put the umbrella away just because the raindrops were light enough, and then they weren't. I'm not noticing any right now, but it doesn't mean that it's over. The possibility of showers or thunderstorms through much of the province could be making a bit of an appearance at times throughout the day today. We're also going to be feeling the heat. We are already, although with the extra clouds, it's not exactly scorching to kick things off. 20 degrees right now, though it feels more like 27 with that humidity factored in. North winds are 13 clicks with the pressure rising and the humidity high at 89%. So yeah, a bit muggy out here this morning. A little bit gray and gloomy. We might see a few more pockets of sunshine at times through the day, but we also still could see some precipitation rolling through with possible showers or maybe even thunderstorms showing up in parts of the province today. Along with the heat warnings that are issued through southeastern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario come the air quality advisories or straight up warnings. That's central Manitoba, most of central and northern Manitoba, with air quality warnings in place regarding the smoke in the area. Might not be ideal for spending time outdoors today. Here, it might not be ideal for spending time outdoors at the peak temperatures, pushing up into the low 30s today, but getting a bit of a break from the heat this weekend when the temperatures return to seasonal. Taking a break right now. We'll be back with more CTV Morning Live.
Weather brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful at 900 Lorimer Boulevard, featuring Hunter Douglas shades.
Good morning, it's 8:45. New numbers from Statistics Canada show Canadian exports to the U.S. are at one of the lowest proportions ever, while exports to other countries have reached a record high.
What we're seeing in the numbers is somewhat encouraging. I mean, that, exporters, Canadian companies are taking that spare capacity that the United States created or the empty space on the order books and are able to, in some cases, fill it with other markets.
The data shows a drop in exports south for the fourth straight month. The data shows a 0.9 drop in May, and imports from the U.S. have decreased for the third straight month. But our overall deficit narrowed slightly in May, bringing it to $5.9 billion, down from a record $7.6 billion in April. Experts say this is a direct result of Canada's efforts to expand trade with other countries other than the U.S. A tough Thursday night on the road for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were hoping to extend their winning streak to 4 games. Winnipeg just couldn't get much going, allowing the Calgary Stampeders, playing in their first ever Stampede Bowl, to roll up a big lead late in the 4th. With just about 2:35 left in the game, this Zach Calero's pass to Jareth Stearns, who fights off Damon Webb for the grab, was Winnipeg's only touchdown. Calgary ending up on top in this one by a final score of 37-16. The Blue Bombers are now 3-1 on the season. They'll next see action at home against the Stamps next Friday. Summer is here, and our wardrobe gets lighter, brighter, and cooler during this season, but you want to make sure your outfits are appropriate for your workplace. Joining us now with advice on how to wear the perfect summer outfit is the owner of Must Have Pockets Apparel, Leanne Ryan. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, it is hot out there.
It is.
A lot of buildings have air conditioning.
They do.
So you kind of need some transition pieces where if you go for a walk outside, you feel nice and cool in what you're wearing.
Yes.
But then you're also warm and appropriate for your workplace.
Exactly.
That can be hard.
It can be, and you know, it's really a great balance of layering as well. Fabric choice is really important at this time of year. So I brought you some options that we could look at. So if we start with tops, obviously tank tops are what our go-to, or something sleeveless.
Right.
Some offices don't like it to be sleeveless. I'll show you some options for some layers. But when we are wearing a tank top or anything open knit or sheer, we kind of like what I'm wearing. This is a great little knit vest from, and it's 100% cotton, which is great. But I am wearing a tank top underneath it just to provide a little bit of...
Yeah, you don't want to go to work without
a tank top. You need to cover up. You need to cover up.
Absolutely.
And even things like this, again, a nice sheer option. This one on actually isn't quite so sheer, but I would still put a little blazer over this.
Okay.
Or even some options like this or this when you have, again, more sheer, or you want a sleeve underneath. It's always good to just layer a sleeve.
And what's really great is this fabric is light, so it doesn't feel heavy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the nice thing with a lot of the vests for this season that are really on trend is that you can take them into the fall by putting something underneath them, like a turtleneck or a white collared shirt.
Nice.
So again, a little more versatility.
So for example, this one here, you can wear a long sleeve black shirt.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Exactly. Especially if you want a little more visual interest with the black popping through.
Yeah.
So we love that. Yeah. And then of course, if we do want something over top, kind of like what I'm wearing here, because this is sleeveless, I'm wearing this great little jacket from Cafe, and this one is denim, but with the short sleeves, it does give a nice lighter option for the summer. So this is a nice option, but you could also do something like, this guy is linen. So linen is
blazer,
always really popular for the summer.
Nice and cool.
Nice and cool, and a lighter weight, and still looks professional because it is more of a traditional blazer.
Right.
But you could also go here.
And everyone has one of these shirts.
Everyone has a white shirt in the closet, so just wear it open. Yeah. And again, you're covering up that tank top, but it's just a nice option for layer.
Super cute.
Yeah, and there's always, you know, you could do a little sweater. That's an option too. This one's a little shrug, and then again, a sweater, just a little lighter weight. Again, this one's 100% cotton.
It doesn't feel super heavy.
It doesn't feel heavy.
Yeah.
So, and then I think a lot of times we really get stuck in our ways when it comes to pants. We have our office black pant, but this is the time when you can play with fabric and you can play with length. So I'm actually wearing these guys here. This is I Love Taylor Madison. This is a Canadian company, and these ones are made in Canada. And it's a super lightweight polyester fabric.
Yeah.
And this one is a little bit of a wider leg, but again, neither of them are full length.
Yeah.
Great for the summer season.
You won't feel like you're wearing pants.
You won't feel like you're wearing pants. The other thing that's nice is going more cropped. So these ones are really even a little more cropped. And again, a lighter weight fabric, which
I like
is
the
lovely.
wide leg.
Wide leg is great. Again, just more air.
Exactly.
So then if we transition, and then transitioning over to jeans, so with denim, this guy's a beautiful wide leg. It's actually a 26-inch inseam, which depends on some people. This could be a full length, this could be a crop, but has the nice cuff on the bottom.
This is all made for you. You don't have to figure it out.
Exactly. Nice. And then, so this is silver jeans. This one is a heavier weight denim, but we love denim. It still
feels pretty light.
It still does. But if you do want to take it down a notch, This guy is made with a cotton polyester blend, and you can feel that it's a lighter hand.
Again, it's so fashionable too.
It's so nice, and this one's a long, wide length. And then again, if you want to trim or hem, you can do that based on your style.
You're ready for your summer wardrobe. Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, get ready for the heat today. That's what you're going to have to dress for, and maybe a little bit of rain shower activity, which we've already seen so far this morning. 20 degrees with north winds 13 kilometers per hour. The pressure rising, humidity at 89%, making it feel like 27 out there this morning. Heat advisories in place through the southeastern part of the province and northwestern Ontario. Regarding the smoke, it is air quality warnings or statements issued across the most northern part of the province. There were some storms. There still could be more showers, possible thunderstorms expected across the province throughout the day today. And yes, the heat will take us to a hot high of 31 degrees. Settling down for the weekend, 25 is normal for this time of year. That's what you can expect tomorrow with those more seasonal temperatures to kick off next week. But it's not long before the mercury is on the rise again. And in fact, by Wednesday and into Thursday, feeling the scorching temperatures all over again. We're taking a break right now, but stick around. We'll be back in just a moment with more CTV Morning Live.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center.
Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
All right, let's send you off into the weekend with some fun video. Now to some very real footage that is unbelievable. You don't see this every day. A wildlife photographer caught this amazing video of a mama brown bear carrying her 3 cubs on her back. The Bruin and her babies were captured running across the water at Katmai National Park in Alaska.
Hang on, kids, we got a plane to catch.
Wow, they have a good grip, those little guys. And here are some cute crunching critters. Yeah, these guys are hilarious. Meet Biggie, Princess, and Scar. These 3 rescue groundhogs are enjoying a healthy snack of broccoli crowns. Listen as they munch away at their favorite veggies. Unlike Groundhog Day, every day is different for this trio. They like broccoli. It's good for them.
I love that it's broccoli too. I mean, it's so cute.
Well, that does it. And lastly, if those groundhogs didn't bring a smile to your face, maybe this will. Oh yeah, this panda knows that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Listen as he crunches down on that juicy apple. The yummy snack is just one of the bare necessities of life. Dripping everywhere. Oh my goodness.
And all these healthy snacks we got today.
I just want to see them fall over. That does it for us. Have a good day. We'll see you.